scars long have yearned for your tender caress, to bind our fortunes. Damn what the stars own. Rend my heart open, then your love profess, a winding, weaving fate to which we both atone. You flee, my dream come the morning. Your scent, berries tart, lilac sweet, to dream of raven locks and twisted, stormy, of violet eyes glistening as you weep. The wolf I will follow into the storm, to find your heart, its passion displaced by our ever-growing, hardening into stone. Amidst the cold, to hold you in a heated embrace. You flee, my dream come the morning. Your scent, berries tart, lilac sweet, to dream of raven locks and twisted, stormy, of violet eyes glistening as you weep. I know not if fate would have us live as one, or if by love's blind chance we've been bound. The wish I whispered when it all began, did it forge a love you might never have found. You flee, my dream come the morning. Your scent, berries tart, lilac sweet, to dream of raven locks and twisted, stormy, of violet eyes glistening as you weep.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, It's another day, another dollar, another terrible release. We live in the future. A beautiful future filled with terrible ports, terrible games. What are you gonna do? Not play it. Actually, probably play it, because I would imagine it's gonna be pretty funny if we're being real. I mean, let's be honest. One of the first warning signs for Redfall, I feel, was this little picture. Hold on, let me pull it up for you. Make that full screen. Okay, you remember this? Remember this? One of the lead characters is described. Her personality is described as the telekinetic threat in student debt. When your characters are being written based on what type of financial instruments their personal finances are tied to, that's weird. That's stupid, dare I say. It's just dumb, dude. Oh golly. Well, we're gonna talk about all of this. For those of you who are not in the loop, some really funny stuff has gone down in the last 12 hours, 15 hours with Redfall, and it's pretty stupid. It's all pretty dumb. So we're gonna talk about all that. It's gonna be good. I should post the video. We're supposed to have a video go live on Saturday, but we had a bunch of technical problems. Okay. Yeah, I did the PS5. I tried it, and then I was like, "Ooh, I'll do a PC one as well, because why not?" Didn't even really think about it, and then we just ran into a ton of issues. By the way, everybody, where's the link to it? The podcast that we did with Mr. Jor Raptor is available now on pretty much everything. And if you have not gotten it, check it out. Check it out. That should be the link to it. You should be able to go check it out. It's available pretty much everywhere. And moving forward, every Friday, we're going to be hanging out, talking about games. It's going to be awesome. And our goal is to get a bunch of other creators and stuff on the podcast. So we'll pretty regularly be talking with different people. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. This game just screams 5 to 6 out of 10. And it makes me really, really bummed for Arcane, because this is Arcane Austin. And I believe all of the games that people really like are from Arcane, like the one in, I think, France, I want to say, or Lyon. Arcane Lyon, Arcane Studios operates Arcane Studios LLC. Also Arcane Studios Austin since July 2006. So Arcane, I just don't know which studio is really responsible for what, you know? Like, who gets credit for Prey? Was Prey Lyon? Sorry, Lion. No, that was also Austin. So, dude, they can't even say this is like a Fallout 76 situation of a different team. Because Prey was developed by Arcane Austin, the same guys that are doing Redfall. So I'm trying to come up with excuses. I'm trying to help them along and be like, oh, well, you see, it's actually not that bad because this, and the, nope, can't. Sure can't. I honestly don't know. I don't know, man. I'm trying to help them. 6 years ago, though. That's how long ago Prey was. 6 years ago. May 5th, 2017. Feel old yet? I'm getting there. Prey was good, so seeing this is just off. Well, it makes me really wonder, did they lose some key? Yeah, so Deathloop was Leon. So Deathloop was from the other studio, so it would have been reasonable to think, oh, well, maybe they screwed up. Maybe they're the ones that weren't nailing it. But they just, to go from Prey to seemingly what some reviewers who accidentally leaked their reviews early, what they're saying is it's one of the worst games of the year. And remember, we had freaking Forspoken released this year. So that's ballsy. That's a big deal to like put it in that stratosphere. You're among some less than stellar company. At this point, my 3080 Ti is only good for upscaling YouTube videos. Yeah, I mean, playing Jedi Survivor on my 4090 in cutscenes, it still drops to like 30 frames. And I like the video that I just posted, my conclusion is like, okay, on a $5,000 gaming PC, it's playable. It should be a hell of a lot more than playable with a $5,000 computer. And I also tested it on the gaming laptop behind me, and that has like a mobile 3070 in it. So it's not quite a 3070, it's a little bit below that, but that thing at 1080p on low still runs at like 20 frames. It's wild. Let's be honest, who wants to play a co-op shooter for in 30 FPS for 70 pounds? It's just every step of the way, it doesn't seem like they are in tune with what people want, and it's just painful. But it's also like, bear in mind the Suicide Squad stuff. Everybody's like, who on earth greenlit Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League? Who wants that game? But that was greenlit probably around the same time that this was greenlit, right around 2017, because while Rocksteady released Arkham Knight in 2015, they also spent like a year or two working on that Superman game concept that was shut down, and then they moved on to Suicide Squad. So it seems like 2017 was the year of green lighting weird co-op shooters, and just now we're getting them, and everybody's like, what? We don't want this. What are we doing? And with this, it's just really weird, because apparently the biggest issue for most of these reviewers is the brain dead AI. And if you guys remember, when I played Deathloop and did the review and stuff of Deathloop back whenever that launched a year or two ago, my biggest complaint was that Deathloop's AI was freaking brain dead. And we still had simps that were excusing it away, saying, no, it's not that bad. You're nitpicking, or you're trying to find stuff wrong with it. And then the first major patch that Deathloop developers put out was to fix the AI. So I'm like, if it wasn't broken, why did they need to fix it? But people now forget that there were tons of apologists excusing Deathloop and the bizarre design choices because they were Arcane fans, and they saw I was getting 10 out of 10 reviews, and it was like, oh, it can't be that bad. But I mean, if you have two bombs in a row, it's really, really hard to excuse that away and claim that that's just a fluke. You know, what's the old saying? Once is an occurrence, twice is a coincidence, and 3 times a pattern. Or, you know, no, this one sucks, hold on. Or the fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. No, fool me. Did I get bad? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I got there eventually. Took me a second. Alex Battaglia said it best. Hold on, let me pull this up. Thank you, Rex. Thank you, Kenny. Leo Lee Gaming, thank you. Let's see. Wait, share screen. Everyone is getting stutters in Jedi Survivor. No one can claim the game is smooth. If someone is claiming the game is smooth, ask them to post an entire playthrough of Coruscant or the town of Kobo with a frame time graph active. It will show stutters even in 3D cache Ryzens. Every time a game releases with awful frame time issues, there are always those that want to make it into, oh, your hardware is the problem. fine on my PC, blah, blah, blah. When that is literally impossible. People saying such things just do not notice or ignore the stutters. Thank you so much, Alexander. Because it's so true. People will be saying in like all of these tweets and responses, well, actually, my game runs really well. I see this all over the place with Star Wars, where people are like, actually, on my Xbox Series S, it runs great. I'm like, no, it doesn't run great. You just don't notice it. Or you're tuning it out. Or it's so blurry that you just don't see all of the issues. But the problems with Jedi Survivor are like pretty foundational. It's not something like, oh, it runs great on PlayStation 5 and awful on everything else. It's not like that. It just doesn't run well. Like full stop. It just doesn't. Now, that being said, I've not had issues like this. I can't even get past the first 30 minutes of the game without a crash to the desktop every single time. 13700K, 4090, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM. Feels bad, man. I wouldn't mind stuttering here and there, but this is rough. Hearing AMD performance is way better. I haven't heard that about AMD performance, and I also have not had crashes. I don't think I've had a single crash. Knock on wood. But I put in maybe 2.25 hours on PC. Didn't have a single crash or anything. Including about 45 minutes on the weaker laptop, and didn't have any issues that extreme. I think those reporting no issues are those with variable refresh rate TVs. VRR seems to be really helping those who have it, like with Elden Ring, really. I mean, maybe, but like the PS5 has, like the screen tearing is terrible, and VRR probably helps with that, but it's still just amazing to me that they put the game out without VSync turned on the console side. Like, that's just baffling. What game was it? There was another game. I feel like it was a Game Pass title that launched with horror, or no, maybe it was an Assassin's Creed title. Maybe it was like AC Origins or something at launch. No, it was Valhalla. It was
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
It was Valhalla that launched with god awful screen tearing on console. You guys remember that? It was so bad. And if I remember right, I think even on PC, if you turned on VSync, it was broken, so it wouldn't even work. It wouldn't even fix it. It was amazing. Yeah, no, that's a throwback. Ooh. 30 hours here, no crashes. Fighting Cowboy couldn't load in at all without crashes till he fixed it all last night somehow. That's crazy, doll. It makes me wonder what is causing those crashes and stuff, because I haven't had anything like that. I've heard a handful of people that are like, yeah, the game runs terribly, but I haven't had any crashes. I have to study Assassin's Creed Valhalla for one of my subjects. Oh, really? That's fun. Drizzy, good to see you. About 9 hours in to Survivor with my 4090 4K epic settings, ray tracing, get around 40, 60 FPS, ever or two crashes. Yeah. Well, do you have the thing also, Stephanie, where you go into the like, you'll go into certain cutscenes where there's multiple characters on screen and then the frame rate plummets down to the 20s? Because I've had that recently. And then like the AMD FSR, whatever, even though you have it turned off, it's like they have something deep down in the rendering pipeline that tries to do it. But the resolution just drops and everybody's face turns into like, it looks like it's one of those sand art drawings, or everybody's made and designed with like an Etch-a-Sketch. It's just super grainy. Yeah, it's like you'll just be playing and then casually you'll just see something like the face is turned to this. And you're just like, oh, why? Like, I can't tell what that's supposed to be. Low key, this is really impressive. Look at this stuff. Sand. They did this with sand. I was like trying to think. I was like, oh, show me a picture of faces with sand, and then I'll show how grainy it is. And then they pop up with these amazing pieces of art. I'm trying to show something that looks bad, damn it. People's talent disgusts me. Oh, goodness. I haven't played it, but I saw this live stream where the character was on a huge animal and man, it looked like the animals were plastic. I don't remember what they're called. There are certain alien creatures you can ride on that look weird, but I don't know if that's because they actually look weird or if that's because I just don't know what an alien horse monkey is supposed to look like. So who knows? Survivor runs at sub 720p upscaled to 1440. It's insanely bad on PS5. Thank you, CD Media. I don't know for a fact if it runs at sub 720, but damn, it looks like it. I was trying to play last night some more, and by the way, today will be a shorter stream because I've got some things to tackle that I can't really talk about, but it's fun stuff. It's fun. Don't worry, it's fine. Date modified. Okay, let me see if I can show you. Just like, if you look at any of these freeze frames, like maybe pulling up paint will help. Because if you're watching on mobile, you might not be able to see this as well. But like, let's just let it run. Especially like the cloth physics are just bizarrely blurry. Like, this is what I'm seeing. Like, it's just so blurry. It lacks all clarity. What is this? Like, his entire skirt is basically like 4 pixels. It's amazing. There's very little detail in BD1's face. And it just is nowhere near where it should be. Oh, and this is, you see all this weird distortion here around his hands? And again, this is PS5. This is allegedly the better version. And then, like, look at what's going on with this. What even is this? Like, what is happening here? It's just, it does look like it's rendering like this. It looks like it's rendering at 360p and then it's trying to upscale it, but it's only rendering lower resolutions in parts of the scene that are moving. So like, this is not rendering at lower resolutions, but the moving stuff is rendering at lower resolutions or something. It's really, really weird. The whole thing just doesn't look right. Yeah, FSR life, man. FSR is so terrible. Like, DLSS has its quirks, but I feel like DLSS is just markedly better. Like, am I crazy? It really feels like, come on, dude, look at that. It really feels like FSR2 is just terrible in comparison. Man, did I notice that with lighter colors of things in general in games, to be honest? I don't know if darker colors are any better. Oh, I don't know. I really want to have like a graphics engineer or somebody come on to the stream and just like explain this shit to me. Cause like, it's really fascinating, all of the details tied up into this, but I feel like if there's somebody who really knows what they're talking about and like programs this stuff on the back end and all of that, I think it could be really, really interesting. Just to hear their perspectives. Like this one, so Del Walker, if you don't know Del Walker, we follow each other on Twitter, which means we're basically best friends. But he's a senior character artist at Naughty Dog and a judge with BAFTA. He's worked at Respawn and at Rocksteady. Like, very, very accomplished dev. Okay, very, very accomplished dev. And he put out this tweet where he said, when making a game for console, you're making it for one set of drivers and hardware. When making a game for PC, you're making it for like 900 plus possible combinations. I promise you it's not laziness. It's just really, really difficult. Something can look really look and feel ready until you release it to millions of people. Developers are trying really hard, but it's not easy when dealing with unstandardized platforms, especially with how complex and graphically intensive modern video games are. And there's been some mixed reactions to this, okay? So don't just take this as like gospel truth. There are a handful of people who looked at this tweet and naturally got very upset and were like, how does this make any sense when we just had Dead Island 2, which was in development hell for a decade and launched with a really good PC port? You know, how does that make any sense? And frankly, I don't know. I'm not a dev. I won't pretend to know. I would imagine it is probably easier to optimize on a single platform. If you're just making a game for PS5, like with Naughty Dog or wherever, I imagine it is easier to polish that, right? It makes sense. EA's huge layoffs the past years are catching up. My understanding, Francisco, thank you for the 199, but my understanding is that those layoffs were not in these studios. They were with like marketing and accounting people. So it wasn't like they were getting rid of QA teams. Maybe they were, if maybe my memory is failing. My recollection when I dug into it was that they were firing like marketing and accounting people, because they hired like an outside accounting firm or blah, blah, blah. But I'm not sure. Anyway, but while it's probably true that it's easier to polish for a single console or a single platform, because yeah, it's only one set of hardware, only one set of drivers, blah, blah, blah. You know exactly what you're dealing with. It's still like, I get that it's really, really difficult. It's still not really an excuse, you know? Like, I get it. It's hard. I've said this before. People are like, Luke, you're being an asshole. I understand it's really hard to optimize for PC. I get it. But it's literally their job. They're literally charging us $70 for this. Like, it's literally their job. And I think his whole point here is just like, don't go after the devs acting like they're just being lazy, because they're not. They were working hard and they just weren't given the tools or whatever to get this refined. I get that, but like this, I don't believe for a second that they, like it's put here, something can look and feel ready until you release it to millions of people. On a 4090, it looks like this, like on a 4090. So if the devs were running with the best hardware in the market that you can use, and they were playing the game while they were working on it or getting it ready for release, they knew it looked like this. They knew it ran like this. They knew it dropped down to 30 in cutscenes. They don't have magic hardware that's 50 years more advanced. Like, come on. So while I don't blame necessarily the devs, I do blame the corporate guys that said, just get it out. And it's like I said in the video the other day. The unfortunate reality is that this probably doesn't matter. People keep going like, when are they going to learn? Probably never. Probably never. You know why? Because Cyberpunk 2077 sold more than 13 million copies within 2 weeks. Sure, a lot of that was the 8 million pre-orders. That still means 5 million copies were sold after the pre-orders, after reviews had come out, after we knew that the game had launched totally broken and busted. And in the first 2 weeks, oh, that's going to get me copyright struck. In the first 2 weeks, it continued to sell like crazy. Yeah, and this does factor in all refunds and returns. So even with this super broken launch, Cyberpunk was massively profitable. Printed money. And the unfortunate reality is that for a lot of these big companies, if they're looking at it, think about the cost involved with delaying a game 6 months. If you delay a game 6 months, you have to factor in the cost of salary, the cost of, you know, the healthcare, the office expenses, all of this for 6 months of extra work that you weren't planning on. That's millions and millions and millions of dollars. that's cutting into the profitability of the game, right? So for a lot of these big corporations and publishers, they'd rather just shove it out, especially if it has hype, especially if it has people who are going to buy it and pre-order it regardless. They're just going to toss it out. It's going to get bad reviews. People are going to freak out and rage about it. But the fact of the matter is that apparently, statistically, the number of people that actually return the game when it doesn't run well, or that actually like go and throw a big enough fit that they notice, that percentage is so small that they just eat that cost, the social cost of releasing a buggy, broken product, and then they spend like, you know, $1 million patching it after that with a smaller team over the course of a few months. It's easier. You know, it's just at some point it becomes cheaper to just release it buggy and broken, and then maybe spend $1 million or $2 million paying a PR firm to try and boost your reputation and image online, or spend a few $1 million developing a handful of free DLC packs that you hand out for free to win back, you know, favor with fans, even though like the whole time that was part of the plan. Like the only way it really stops is if it hurts the bottom line to release games in this state. Sometimes it actually does. Sometimes, you know, a game will come out and it is a broken pile of garbage and it is super buggy and broken. That can happen. But CDPR stocks fell though. It did. It sure did. However, like stock movements are a little complicated. In the case of like CDPR stock, I mean, I guess we can pull it up. CDPR. Cyberpunk was December of 20. And I mean, this I think is, hold on, how do I market wash maybe? Hold on. Professional streamer. I'm a pro. Okay. I think this works. If we go back like 5 years. So this to me, and this was not like, to be fair, this is not me just like going big brain on this. This is an opinion I've heard echoed from many people. This drop was not because like CDPR blew it. They were, you know, if the game had been successful, it would have stayed at this level. Most analysts thought that CDPR was massively overpriced at this point. And then when the game launched super buggy and broken, people kind of reevaluated and went, oh wait, why did we think it was worth that much? That doesn't make sense. So this was sort of a correction. It was less that the stock was punishing them for a bad release, and it was more that the market was correcting for a really, really weirdly overly inflated valuation. Because up here, if you were trying to buy the stock at this price, I mean, come on, it was never worth that. So in my mind, it's more in line with like coming up with a fair valuation and correcting. Dalton, good to see you, my friend. No, I'm interested. I guess it's only been in the last little bit, but like EA in the last 5 days. EA, most people think is trading pretty fair. You see mid and long term, most analysts are bullish. But EA hasn't really eaten anything. Is Square Enix traded publicly? I don't think so. Square Enix hold, oh, it's an ADR. American Depository Receipt. So it's not actually like quite fair to look at this because these are depository receipts, so it's not like the actual stock. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. With all of that though, I do think it's fair to bring up CDPR's stock price, but CDPR's stock price plummeting like it did, in my view, and the view of like a lot of other analysts who are way smarter than me, it was more a correction to a stupidly inflated valuation. It's kind of like when what was it? WeWork, like WeWork collapsed and plummeted. It wasn't that like retail investors were freaking out and punishing them. It was just that everybody kind of woke up at once and were like, wait, why did we think it was worth that much? It's just like a real estate company that's subleasing. Oh, that's insane. Why are we valuing it like it's some sort of groundbreaking tech? Like what? How do I have all these trading information though? All of this is publicly available. If it's publicly traded, it's publicly available. Still waiting for the Jedi PC vid. Oh, it should have gone up. I thought I published it. Did I not? Oh, I did. Yeah, it's up. Bullet Fever, your titles make me physically cringe. Thanks for the click. Wait, can I insert an emoji? Where's a kissy face? Where's a kissy face? I find it so funny when people like come into videos and they're like, cringe title and thumbnail. I'm like, bro, you clicked on it. Like, what are you doing? Do I not people emoticons? This is it. Thanks for the click anyways. That's funny. That's pretty funny. Okay, anyway. Speaking of Square, you hear about the AI tech demo they made recently? Yeah, it's actually a stream clip here on the live channel. It's a stream clip. It's pretty terrible. It's pretty awful. Wish there was a legal way to farm Steam returns for big developers. Oh, to farm Steam returns? I think the only thing is like, it's why I tried to like, I honestly don't know if it's not okay for me to point out that when you return like a game through Steam, Steam keeps their cut. And so the publisher has to pay the difference, has to pay what Steam basically kept. So technically a return, my understanding is that a return on Steam costs them money. In Windows, it's Windows Plus. Oh, really? Oh my God. Oh my God, what did I do? Oh God, what? Okay, so Windows Plus, you can like zoom in. That actually could be kind of useful. Yeah, it's not what I thought I was doing, but that could actually be kind of useful. Like if I'm pulling up this, I could pause it and then I could go Windows plus 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 and then show you. Oh, there we go. Okay, well, it's not what I meant to do, but that actually is kind of useful. Accidentally figured that out. Okay, well, enhance. Anyway. Yeah, it kind of trolled me. It's whatever. It's okay. So let's talk about this, I guess. Maybe I should catch up on chat first. My goodness. Windows and period. Okay, Windows and period. I swear to God, if this crashes my computer. Okay, I can't get that to work. I don't. Windows period is just doing a period. I don't even know. Anyway, yeah, by the way, everybody like the stream. Like the stream, or I'm going to make you watch me continue drinking your protein shake. Oh, God. Almost dropped it. Let's talk about all this. But let's first... sorry, I mean your knowledge of stock being way too high in value when you were talking about CD Projekt Red being way too high and the market correcting itself. So I guess that's a good question. The thing to remember about stock is that a lot of people have the misconception that stocks are just like whatever we say they are, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is worth 500 and this is worth 200 and this and that. Like people just making it up in real time, and that's not actually how this works. There's a lot of analysis that goes into valuing a stock, because what a stock is supposed to be is a single chunk, a little piece of a company. So in theory, like if I give you like, I don't know, what would be an example? I'm trying to think of like a super simple example. Well, just like a bond. So like if I have a bond that I buy for $100 and every month it's going to pay me $1. If I use that as like the basis, what we can do then is we can take our initial price of the bond, we can take how much money it's going to pay out every month or every quarter or year, and then we can discount that by the inflation rate, by maybe the interest rates we could be getting on other securities. And basically we can run a bunch of math to figure out what that should actually be worth, whether it should actually be worth the 100 or if it's worth like 115 or if it's actually worth like 135. You know, we can price it out. The simplest way would just be, okay, if it pays out $10 a month for a year and I paid $100 for it, over its lifetime, it's going to generate 120. So is it worth 120? So you can price these things out and come up with it. Oh, Luke, it was awesome to get to meet you the other day. I thoroughly enjoyed our vacation in Colorado. Yes, Luke, thank you, first of all, for the $19.99. That's incredibly generous. And yeah, Luke, we met at the zoo, actually. We were at the zoo walking around, and we were walking to our car, and then we ran into Luke in the parking lot. It was super cool. I'm so glad that you came by and say hi. I never know if it's like weird for me to mention, yeah, shout out to these people I met the other day. I don't know if that's weird, but yeah, it was Luke squared. The conjoining of the spheres. We all conversed on the same point. It was pretty cool. Yeah, well, and Luke was traveling from out of state. So like Luke was there like on vacation, wasn't even like, it was very, very coincidental, because we were also walking to the car to leave because Lachlan was kind of melting down and needed to go take a nap on the drive home. So it was just like a 1 in 1,000. We were walking by at the same time. It was pretty cool though. So thank you, $20, very generous. And yes, it was super awesome to meet you. But anyway, with all this stuff, like with the stocks, there's always, with the stonks, there's always a lot of math that goes into it. You're looking at actual yearly estimates, quarterly actuals on revenues, on incomes, on all of this stuff that goes in. You're comparing it to other competitors in the same space. Stock grader, they're gonna make me log in. Can I actually log in? I do have a Barron's account because I'm a dork. Who do you think I am? Say my name. I'm gonna sneeze too. I have a sneeze coming on. Oh my god, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, EA. Let's just look at EA, for example. Where press releases, major holders. Yeah, this is fun. You can see who owns the highest percentages. Vanguard, different funds own like 3% of the entire company. Vanguard owns a lot of EA, actually. That's funny. Who knew? Full rating, stock grader. So like here you can see how these analysts go in and they actually grade and evaluate stocks in real time to calculate what they think the stock is worth, what pricing it should come in at. You can look into all of this stuff, so you can see what their cost of goods sold is. You can see what their sales growth is percentage-wise year over year. So 23.79%, that's pretty good for a year. Whereas in 2019, it actually dropped, which is funny because 2019 was the year that they launched Apex. But I don't know how they're accounting. Like, we could look into this, but you'd also have to look at how their accounting works out, because they might be counting all of the costs of like major releases and marketing all at the same time. Cash and short-term investments in growth. Okay. Bad debt, doubtful accounts. Oof. Big oops. The one thing with EA is they've always been very, very financially capable. Deferred taxes, 2.24 billion. Yeah, lots of good stuff here. But the point is, you can look into all of this and you can figure out what they're worth. You want to figure out what Nintendo's actually worth, you can look into it. So it's not just guesswork. It's not like, yeah, it's probably overvalued. It's like, no, this doesn't make any sense because this stock only generates this amount of money per year, or this company, but we're pricing it like it produces 15 times that amount. The way that Benjamin Graham, who wrote The Intelligent Investor, phenomenal book, The Intelligent, by Benjamin Graham. This book. Wait, close. This thing. If you ever want to know anything about investment, buy The Intelligent Investor. This is what Warren Buffett uses. It's what all major investment guys will use, unless they're doing like options and craziness. But you read this and it will train you how to think about investments in a well-reasoned way. By far the best book on investing ever written, said Warren Buffett. He said that this book changed his entire life. And like, this book is why he is worth billions upon billions. And it's because, like, very simply, if you're going to buy a share of a company, you need to be okay if that stock doesn't trade for 20 years. He's like, if you buy a company versus like crypto, if you buy a share of Bitcoin, but you can't trade it for 10 years or for 20 years, what are the odds that you're going to be financially okay? Well, pretty low, because Bitcoin doesn't generate anything. It doesn't do anything. Whereas if you buy a share of Apple or Microsoft, they pay dividends. I don't think Apple does, but like, they'll actually pay dividends and you'll actually get money paid out to you. And so you'll actually generate money. So you'll actually end up ahead. But a lot of people don't think about it that way. They just think, well, no, I want to buy something that I think is going to go up. Anyway, setting all of that aside, my God, let's do this. Let's do this. We're going to talk about the titular topic, Redfall reviews. Because there's some pretty stupid stuff. So, I guess this can be the start of the clip, Jacob. Steffi's intrigued. So, basically, actually, what I should do, let me copy over chat so we can have chat on screen, because I think that'll be fun while we do this, so you guys can be in the actual stream clip. Because I always think that that's fun. Whoop, wrong keyboard. Voila. Love it. How can Redfall reviews leak? Oh, I'll tell you what. Okay. So, for those of you who have missed it, some craziness has been going down, mostly on Twitter, in the last like 15 hours with with regards. I was going to say relating to, and then I said regards, so regards. With regards to Redfall. Redfall, of course, is the big game. Comes out tomorrow, as of the time we're streaming. And it is the next huge game, allegedly, from Xbox. Day one Game Pass title from Arcane, the guys that did Dishonored, that did Deathloop, that did Prey. Very accomplished studio. But this game has left a lot of people feeling a little iffy, right? People were kind of suspicious. Little suspicious. Part of the reason is because they had marketing stuff that they put out where they were trying to hype you up on the characters and stuff in the game. And they would do weird stuff like this, where a character's entire personality is whittled down to a telekinetic threat in student debt. And like, again, I hate to be this guy. When I play video games, I don't want to just be reminded of my student loans. Like, I play games to escape this stuff. And like this, like if your entire personality is just that you have this cool ability, telekinesis, that's awesome. But the only other thing they could think of saying about her is that she's in student debt. Like, come on, what are we doing? Like, what? It does scream, hello, fellow kids. Exactly, CD. It's just like, I'm like you. We're like you. We're part of the young people now. Super cringe to me. Anyway, people have been really, really off on this, really questioning whether or not this game was going to be any good. And Microsoft has been really weird about it. They announced, of course, that it was only going to support 30 FPS at launch, even though they previously showed it off running 60 FPS, and they had box art that went out right here where you can see on the box 60 frames per second listed on the box. And then they've had to affix a sticker onto the cellophane wrap that says 60 FPS performance mode not available at launch. So clearly when they sent out the artwork for this box art, like they thought that they were going to have 60 frames. Then at some point late in development, they figured, oh, we can't do this actually, it doesn't work. So they had to put a sticker on. It really reminds me of like, I think it was No Man's Sky that removed the multiplayer thing. Yeah, here it is. They removed the multiplayer claim. As you can see here, underneath this sticker, it says, multiplayer. You can play with your friends online. And then they put a sticker over top of it, removing that. Because they figured out, oh, this doesn't actually work. We can't actually do that. And they sent copies of the game out like this. So whenever you start to see them making last minute changes like that, you have to start wondering what's going on. Something is fishy here. Something's weird if they're making last minute changes like that. Well, there's been a couple of preview events. I think Mr. Matty Plays and one of his co-hosts, they went out to the whatever Microsoft Center and they played it early. And if I recall, they didn't have like tremendous things to say about it. They also didn't have like horrible things to say about it. They were just kind of like, yeah, shout out to Mr. Matty Plays. You can see like, this is his video. I played Redfall, my brutally honest opinion. The immersive sim elements make those series stand out on my shoulders above the pack. Following my heavy criticism of Deathloop, I found myself a little concerned about Arcane's direction of a more accessible multiplayer-driven experience, and Redfall seemed to only double down on those elements. Well, now I've played a couple of hours of Redfall that Bethesda invited me to play. Have any fears been squashed, or are new worries coming in? And just like all of the other people that tried the game, there were mixed emotions. Some people thought that it was pretty fun. Some people were kind of impressed with the gunplay. Others were like, I really don't see what's causing this to go together. But I don't remember him having anything like really negative to say, or like saying AI is brain dead or anything like that. Well, in the last 15, 16 hours, there's been a few leaks. Now, somebody was asking in chat earlier, how does a review leak, Luke? That doesn't make any damn sense. How does a review leak? The YouTuber or the creator makes the review, and then when it's time to publish, they press the button to publish it. Well, there is such a thing as like scheduling. So what usually happens is a reviewer will work on the video, and if they're more professional than me, they'll finish it well in advance of the deadline, and they will schedule it through YouTube scheduling tools and like schedule it out. So it'll be like, oh yeah, we're gonna release it. They'll give you the embargo. So they'll say like, oh, the review is allowed to go up at, say, I think it was 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or or maybe it's Eastern time, you know, in the US. And then you're like, okay, so you schedule it out and then you're good. And then when the embargo hits, on the minute, the video will go up. That's how, at least how it's supposed to be. However, occasionally somebody makes an oopsie. I don't know who this person is. If anybody does know, I would love to hear it because I'm not familiar at all. I initially tweeted out what we're about to watch last night, and then I deleted the tweet because I realized, hold on a second, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know if he's actually like a Sony pony that's just trying to jump on a hate bandwagon, or he's making stuff up. I don't actually know who this is because I don't know. And because I don't know, I can't confirm it. I'm not going to spread it. So I deleted the tweet that we're about to see and look at. Basically, what is claimed here by the Red Dragon on Twitter was that an Xbox fan, again, I don't know if it's actually an Xbox fan. I don't know this creator. But they accidentally published their Redfall review early. Again, I don't recognize them. If you guys know who, like, well, Red Dragon might be a Sony pony, but we don't know if the video he's posting is also this. What I do know is we haven't seen this gameplay before anywhere. And so whoever made this video, it seems, did get a review copy. This is not ACG. ACG is in the next part of the story. So ACG is coming. Don't worry. But what he posted was this. Let's just see. And yeah, come at me, Bethesda, for showing this. Come at me, I dare you.
Question marks that shows when the web will launch. We have some question marks that shows when the vampires are aware that happens during this. Hopefully that won't happen during full launch. We have some question marks that shows when the vampires are aware that something is happening. But we are going to look at the... Oh, he's gonna come up here. I have to kill him, I guess. And he has a shield.
Does anybody know who this guy is? Do you recognize his voice?
This is a vampire.
Well, so to be clear, Dragon being a Sony pony does not necessarily mean the review is fake. Because if the review is negative, the Sony pony will share it, naturally. And if the review was really good, he probably wouldn't share it. ACG definitely is legit. I've talked to ACG. We're buddies. So I'm not referring to ACG. I don't know who this guy is that's talking.
With a shield. Let's see what happens. Alright, so we gotta wait until we get a clear shot. The problem is the gameplay feels a bit wonky sometimes. I want to do this properly. There we go. We were actually lucky there.
Hello. This looks like it's running on like a potato though. Look at this texture quality. This makes me wonder if this is like real or if he hacked into something. I don't know. Hi. Do you want to say hi to everybody? Hold on. We'll continue the segment in just a moment. Hi. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Want to come up and say hi?
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.
Hi, everybody. He's got iRobot with Will Smith.
Bye.
Hi, everybody. Yeah? Yeah, your movie?
Okay, Lucky, we're just gonna say hi and go bye-bye.
You're gonna go bye-bye?
We're gonna go to the park.
Oh, you're gonna go play at the park? It's a good park day. Do it?
Over the trash can.
Oh, good thinking. We're adults. Very good at it. What does Sony have to this? I thought this was Xbox exclusive. Oh, Cyber. We're specifically referring about it because it wouldn't be out of the realm of imagination for somebody to take gameplay footage of Redfall and then cut together like a fake review to make it sound terrible. Like it would not be the first time somebody's done that to like troll and prank somebody. So it's possible. It's possible. What weirds me out about this, well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in a minute. You gonna go have fun at the park? Can I have a hug?
Can you get Daddy a hug?
No.
I don't know why he stopped saying no to me. He just says no good.
No good. It's no
I'm
good.
like, can we do this? No good, Mama. No good.
He has the Blu-ray copy of Phantom of the Opera, the 2012 production. I got the Blu-ray because the audio quality is way better than if you stream it. Hug. Can you hug? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good fella. Want to say bye-bye to everybody?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
He's wearing his Planet shirt, too.
And that.
Yeah. Oh, you got that hat here. Hayata.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, bye.
Yeah.
Have fun at the park, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Please.
Go down that slide for me, okay? Okay.
You.
Okay. He sees the computer under the desk. He's like,
Come
oh.
on, baby. Let's go.
Bye-bye. I see you later.
We're gonna go out the door.
Later. What a goober. Oh, no sword, no sword, no sword. Don't worry, it's super dull and it's mounted with metal. But I don't want him yanking on it. It seems like a bad idea. I love you. I love you, dude.
I do.
Bye, dude. Have fun. Okay.
I love you.
I just said I love you.
I love you.
I love you too. I just said I love you. It's on the tape. We have it recorded.
I couldn't hear you.
Okay, have fun.
Yeah,
Love you, bye. Okay. Back to where we were. Oh yeah. What weirds me out about all this is that the recorded footage looks really, really bad. Maybe he's recording this on like Series S. It also looks like it could also be just how they encoded it, and like it looks like they filmed a video of a screen playing a YouTube video that was posted early. So maybe that's it, but like this doesn't look like it was captured natively. You know, this looks like one of those videos somebody films on their phone of a screen, and that makes me weirded out. That maybe this was like a test build that somebody got their hands on. I don't know.
There we go. We were
The whole thing is weird though. But if we play it, you're gonna
actually
see.
lucky there. Alright, so we killed him. Let's take a look at the UI. Graphics are acceptable. Sometimes the textures take some time to load in. Hopefully they'll have a patch for that. Hopefully right after release. The gunplay feels a bit swanky. It's a bit hard to hit enemies sometimes. The reload thing takes way too much time. The skills for the characters seems interesting and they're fun to use. And well, overall, I will give this game so far for my 2 days of playing the game a solid 6 out of 10 so far.
I'll also say this doesn't look like somebody who plays on mouse and keyboard like ever. Look at these movements.
And well, overall, I will give this game
Like these movements are like move the mouse, move the mouse, move the mouse, move the mouse. It looks like controller gameplay, but it has the UI of mouse and keyboard. So they're playing on mouse and keyboard, but their movements are like they've never played a PC game before in their life. So I don't know who this guy is. I don't know who this creator is. I don't know if he's like an Xbot fan that got a review copy or something. I don't know. But it's very weird. The whole thing is like just red flags. So I don't look at that and I don't go, okay, well, confirm the game is terrible. That's why I deleted the tweet where I shared that video, because I was like, there's just fishy stuff. Something's weird about this. And yeah, it's coming from a Sony pony, which, you know, is its own thing. It's its own thing. And then this morning, there was a tweet from the one and only Carrick from ACG. I saw it 45 seconds-ish after it went up, and I retweeted it. Big oofs in the chat. You notice the tweet's been deleted, but you can see the tweet was a status from Jeremy Penter. The tweet was linking to his review of Redfall. Bear in mind, the game comes out tomorrow, so it's not that unreasonable that the game would have reviews drop today. It makes sense, right? When else would they drop? So why did he delete it? Well, what he said, if we back up. Sorry, folks. Video got scheduled wrong. Looks like some of us jumped the gun. Privated. I seen it. This is the video. Redfall review in progress. One of the worst games so far in 2023. Now, I trust ACG. He never does the like just going out, being outrageous to get attention. He doesn't do that. He's super chill. And so if ACG is saying one of the worst games so far in 2023, that puts it in the tier of like Forspoken. And that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. Now, as Paul Tassi reported, mixing up 11 a.m. embargo with the 8 or 11 p.m. embargo. ACG calls Redfall one of the worst games so far in 2023. Yikes. Remember I said that you would schedule the video out and then it would publish automatically when the review embargo lifted? Well, what it seems like happened is that ACG scheduled the video, but scheduled it at 11 a.m. instead of 11 p.m. Which, bear in mind, that would mean 11 a.m. Eastern, which means that the review embargo lifts 1 hour before the global launch. Which, again, some people will apologize for. Some people will go, it's not actually that bad. Sometimes great games launch with review embargoes lifting at an hour before the game releases. Sometimes that happens if it's like super, like maybe it's a super narrative game and people don't want story spoilers or something. Maybe that's why. But let's be honest, a lot of the time, when a review embargo lifts an hour before the game launches, it's because they know that the reviews probably are not going to be really good. Crimson, Arcane might be a two-trick pony with Dishonored 1 and 2. Death of the Outside was awful. Prey was good, but didn't feel quite right. IMO and Deathloop was mediocre, if even. To me, what this reflects, bear in mind, I'm not going to, if we try to pull up the video, you'll see it's unavailable that he privated it. I don't want to get Carrick in trouble, of course, by like broadcasting the full review again, but we can run through what he discussed and what he talked about in it. I just don't want to get Carrick in trouble. I'm sure he's already getting in some hot water with them for this, and a mistake like this can make it so you'll never receive review codes from them again. And for this, it's like, this is bad. There are 2 reviews out. If you can link them, George, if they're still up, if you can link them in chat, I should be able to pull them. It might prevent you from posting links in chat. It's kind of hit or miss, but we'll see. Can't they get sued? They could, which is why it would have to be like, if it was an honest mistake, that's what matters. If this was like, my understanding is that he posted this and then within like 5 minutes was like, oh my God, no. Because he probably posted it, started looking around at what other people were saying in their reviews, realized nobody else was talking about the game. Nobody else had posted. And then he checked the email again and saw 11 p.m., freaked out, and then unlisted it and privated it. So I think it was an honest mistake. I don't think he was trying to release it early for quick clout or something. So, it literally just got taken down. Yeah, I mean, right now, Microsoft is on a little bit of a warpath. They are copyright claiming anything and everything that even slightly looks like the game. Notably, they even accidentally copyright struck their own banner. As you can see here, they actually went in and they've been copyright striking anything that looks like it's from the game. And according to some people, again, I can't confirm this, I did not see it myself. But apparently some of their own images have been copyright struck because they like so frantically were freaking out about these early reviews that they just started firing haphazardly into the crowd, hoping to hit their target. Again, I don't know if this is the case. It's actually, like, my understanding is it's pretty easy to do this kind of thing. You could just inspect element. I don't actually know if I can do this in... Yeah, like in here, in inspect element, we could actually go in here and then you rewrite this and put in the different image for the background. So like you can do this pretty easily without it needing to be, like, you can fake these screenshots super easy. That's what I'm trying to say. Jesus. So it might not be the case, but either way, it seems really funny if it is the case. Ooh, oh goodness. And then some other footage that has come out has been less than stellar. Of Arcane's AI and animation and the bugs and stuff in this. As you can see, really weird lack of movement, shall we say? Escalators. Yeah, exactly. Escalators. And then you look at like the quality of the mesh here and the textures and stuff. It's really hard to tell if this is like the game running on a potato or if this is just honestly what the game looks like. I don't know, but like his movement, his walking animation for stairs just doesn't trigger. So, and then once he reaches the bottom, he starts walking. It's really strange. Didn't expect perfection, but yikes. Yeah. Let's see. So I resend it. I don't want to spam. I don't see it, so I think they flag. I think YouTube chat held it. Yeah, I don't have it. Yeah, and people are saying that other footage that's making its way out into the public is also a little concerning, of just really weird graphical issues. Pop-in textures and meshes not updating from their low poly versions to the high poly versions. It's just not working. These are supposed to be circles. It's just not, it seems to just not be working properly. So it's concerning. And it's really just another blow to Microsoft. Like, they gotta figure this out. It's like the weirdest thing that I've been mentioning time and time again, it seems like in the last bit, is that Microsoft is a company that has been built on software distribution and production. And they seemingly cannot, for the life of them, get a polished video game out besides Hi-Fi Rush. And like at this point, that seems to be the fluke. That seems to be the weird one that is totally separate from all of their other releases, because pretty much everything else is just a swing and a miss. Gears of War, when was Gears of War, or Gears 5, I think was the last one. That was like 2019, 2020, wasn't it? The last Gears of War? Forza is great. Forza is great. That's another franchise, but is that Microsoft, or is that just that the devs are awesome? Or like Crimson was bringing up earlier, is it, I kind of started going down this rabbit trail and then I got distracted. Shocker, right? The question is like, was Arcane great and now they've fallen? Or were they always like this? Were they always this team and they just kind of got lucky with Dishonored 1, 2, and Prey? And to me, what this is more representative of is not that they're a great team that fell apart. I think it's just an example of what happens when a team that's really good at X goes out and just tries to do Y because they think that they can just do whatever. We're a great team. We'll figure it out. It's like BGS trying Fallout 76. Oh, it's fine. We made Fallout 4 and Skyrim. We got it. Cyberpunk. Yeah, we're going to have cars and futuristic stuff while running all this cool stuff. They were going to have multiplayer in Cyberpunk 2077 at one point. All of this stuff, let's try that. We made The Witcher 3, we'll figure it out. Sure won't. Sure won't. Or, hey, we made Dishonored 1 and 2. We made Deathloop, which got 10s out of 10s from some bafflingly bizarre reviewers. We made Prey, which was lauded. We can make a 4-player co-op shooter. Why not? Let's try it. Pride comes before the fall. I think you're right, Casper. To me, it just seems like this is a studio that tried something they probably shouldn't have tried. And then we're kind of surprised when it's not going quite as easily as they thought it would. And, it's just... crazy. Maybe this is part of a big psyop. Maybe this is like one of the most brilliant original marketing ideas we've ever heard of. Maybe Microsoft was like, hey, Carrick, can we pay you like 10 grand to post your like a fake review thing 5 minutes early, or for 4 or 5 minutes, but post it like 12 hours early, and then immediately you take it down and just don't talk about it. And then it'll get the game hyped up on social media. Everybody will be freaking out. And then the actual reviews will drop and it'll be a 10 out of 10. Maybe that's what happened. But almost certainly not. Almost certainly not. What makes more sense is that it's just a bad game and some reviews are leaking a little early and it's just a dumpster fire. You know, it does go to show you sometimes that gamer intuition, it's okay to trust it. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes it's a little stupid. Sometimes our guts lead us astray. But sometimes it is just the case that if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, acts like a duck, waddles like a duck, maybe it's a duck. And in this case, if Redfall looks weird, it doesn't look quite right. The graphics don't look great. The AI seems kind of stupid. Gunplay doesn't look great. Thematically, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If there's all these things that are going against it, and you start to be like, this thing is just, it's stinky. Something's off. Sometimes you end up being right. Bushy, thank you so much for becoming a member. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Oh, that's why the alerts weren't going off. My bad. There we go. I don't know. That sounds kind of cynical. Lol. Well, I'm not saying like you just be a total prick, but I think sometimes your suspicions can be confirmed. There we go. Let's do that. Nathan, thank you so much for the 199, by the way. Appreciate you. Thank you. Redfall might just be a duck. Yeah, it's... People often, I think, confuse the idea of being skeptical and the like being cynical. I've noticed this a handful of times. Specifically, weirdly, like it gets into religious discussions, strangely enough. People think that if you're skeptical, then like they tie that to their opinions on religion and politics and stuff. It's really strange. But I'm like, all skepticism is you're just not convinced of something until there's adequate evidence of that thing. If you say that, you remember Abandoned from back in the day? You remember this thing? If you said that this was going to be Game of the Year, this was actually Hideo Kojima working in the Decima engine, and this was going to be like the greatest thing ever. That is, in my view, an extraordinary claim. Thank you, Bushy, by the way, as well, for the 2. Thank you, guys. You guys are being very generous. Thank you so much. That's an extraordinary claim to say that looking at this tells you everything you need to know that this is going to be an amazing game. I would say you need to back that up. I'm not going to pre-order. I'm not going to hype it up. I'm not interested in this until you can prove and demonstrate with sufficient evidence that this is, in fact, what you claim it is. And you're going to need more. You remember what those Kojima fans were doing when this happened? People were losing their minds. People looked at this and said, look, kill them. I think is what I said. Yeah, kill them trespasser or kill the trespasser. It's kill the trespasser. And you notice the tree goes right in front of the P in trespasser and in front of the T in the. Therefore, it's Kojima signaling that this is PT. Or maybe it's just a stupid freaking tree. Or maybe it's somebody trying to bait you into thinking that it's talking about PT. Like, no, you don't get to just say that, oh, well, clearly confirmed, this is Kojima. It's soft brain koala bear level, like, dipshittery. But if you're going to claim that this is going to be amazing, you need to back that up. You need to justify that claim. And people will look at that and say, oh, well, you're just being cynical. You just don't want, like, one guy said, you don't like video games. You just like being negative. You like hating on stuff. Like, no, I would love a new PT. I would love a new game that gets people super excited, that gets me obsessed, that I can sink my teeth into. I would love that. But I'm not, like, I try not to be a gullible buffoon. You know, I try to only believe true things and to disbelieve false things, or believe things we have good reason to think are true and disbelieve things we have good reason to think are not true. And in the context of video games and journalism and pop culture and things like that, it just means waiting until there's sufficient evidence to justify the claim. And in this case, like with Redfall stuff, this tweet coming from somebody who's like a major PlayStation fanboy, with weird gameplay footage that looks really strange. He's playing with a mouse and keyboard, it seems like, even though it looks like he's never played on a mouse and keyboard before. We can look at that and say, something's fishy. Something's fishy. I would not conclude that, like, Redfall is going to be terrible based just on this. However, coming from ACG, somebody who's very accomplished, somebody who's trustworthy, has a great reputation in the video game review space, coming from him and seeing his review leak that's very negative, that for me is much more significant evidence pointing in favor of this thing, so we conclude that this is probably actually going to be a disaster. And so it's not that we're trying to be negative for the sake of being negative. It's just that we're looking at the evidence in front of us and then trying to come to a reasonable, rational conclusion after the fact, you know? That's at least what we're trying to do. Bushy, thank you. Don't knock our koalas. Eat the gum leaves and sleep all day, but have a mean bite. Dude, koalas are so fun. I did see a documentary though where they were like the whatever. It wasn't a vet. It was like some biologist, very specialized, but it was a biologist who was talking about koalas, and they were just like, koala bears are really confusing because there is no reason that they should be alive. They are so remarkably stupid. It's frankly amazing that they can function through the day. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Oh yeah, we can get way more likes in here. Everybody like the stream. Do I have anything to like guilt trip you? Do I have anything to give you? Everybody like the stream. I thought maybe I have like a game code or something. Every once in a while, I'll just have PS5 codes for games laying around. First world problems, right? I don't know. I guess like the stream to be nice to me. I don't know. I don't have anything else. Yeah, like the stream and Luke will start a hot tub stream. Boom. Problem solved. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. I'll take the sword. I think Unrecord is going to be a game changer where people are unable to tell if it's real or a game, and getting into that discussion can be a scary one. Robbie, maybe my thing, though, is that while Unrecord looks awesome, part of the reason that it looks so realistic is because it's hyper compressed and it's in that very, very specific style. So like it looks like a body cam, because frankly body cam footage doesn't usually look very good. It usually looks super pixelated, super compressed. I mean, look at this. This is a phenomenal use of filters, of compression artifacting artificially, of all sorts of stuff to make it look like a body cam footage. However, my guess would be that when you're actually playing the game, that level of weirdness and compression artifacting and stuff actually probably hurts the gameplay experience. I think it probably makes it harder to enjoy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is going to be like that amazing on a whole other level, but we shall see. But I mean, what a compliment to the dev for people to be like, oh, clearly this is fake. And then he just like, nope, sure isn't. Just looks that good. He put out a second demo to show more of it. That's awesome. It's so uncanny, it actually makes me nauseous. I mean, it is very uncanny. They did tremendous work with it. Really did. Could be this sort of thing like Ultra Kill, where the filters and visual artifacting are on an adjustable scale. Yeah. No, and I think it's one of those that will continue to go viral because it's very, very solid. Like, it just looks amazing. It looks beautiful, but yeah, I don't know what the long-term one is. Oh, they just revealed new Xbox Home UI. Ooh, baby. Starts testing new Xbox Home UI with testers this week. Look at this. I like this way more. Interesting. So you've got your game stack up top. Interesting. Bushy, thank you for the 2. You're being very generous today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. 16 times the detail.
16 times the detail.
Damn right. Look at that. So Game Row on top. It looks like they have the advertisements on the bottom still. Microsoft Store, achievements. Honestly, it looks way better. It was just, I think it was a big miscalculation on the part of Microsoft at the start of this generation to think that they could just like kind of roll over and just bring the Series X with Xbox One X software and looks and feels. Like, nobody was that into the One X and the Xbox One style and setup. It wasn't like bad, but it definitely wasn't good. Like, I didn't like using my Xbox for the UI or anything. But they played it so safe with the controller. They played it so safe with the UI, with everything. Just kind of copy and pasting from one console to the next, that it was just not very exciting. Whereas the PlayStation 5, you remember when the PS5 launched and people immediately started like sharing just footage captured of their first time booting it up. That's how excited they were. I don't remember seeing a single video of people doing that with a Xbox Series X, because I don't think anybody was that hyped about it, you know? Okay, let's touch on this. This actually I thought was really interesting. So you guys remember that, of course, we had recently the whole kind of scandal, kind of not, with Jedi Survivor, where people got upset that reviewers were not reviewing the game negatively enough. and even I called out like PC Gamer for doing this. PC Gamer, let me actually just pull it up so I can show you. PC Gamer reviewed Jedi Survivor, of course, and they checked it out and gave it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Now, 8 out of 10 to me is like really good. That's a very good rating. However, in this same review, they mention cutscenes often plummet to 15 to 20 FPS. There's cut-off dialogue, overlapping dialogue, and it usually doesn't recover until you get back control of the character. The only upscaling option is FSR2, which usually failed to improve my FPS, but always succeeded in making Cal's face look blurry and unintelligible in motion. Yeah, for real. FSR2 sucks ass. But they mention that it's like dropping down into the teens during cutscenes. And yet, they keep it at an 8 out of 10. Really, really strange. Now, one of the impulse things is like, okay, well, what is the alternative? Should they review it and like rate it as a 6 out of 10? Should it be a 1 out of 10 until they fix it? If it's unplayable, does it get a 1 out of 10? And then they re-review it when it's playable again? Who knows? But this thread by Luke Plunkett I thought was really, really interesting, and it brought up a lot of the points that I think are worth mentioning about this. So, do you know what happens when you devote a huge amount of space to a review to PC technical problems? I can't read. You get yelled at anyway. Your review is shit. Who talks about New Vegas's bugs now? It's an all-time classic, but this review reads like a Reddit post. In case you're not familiar, this is Luke's review published October 22nd, 2010 of Fallout New Vegas. If you don't somehow recall, or if you aren't aware, Fallout New Vegas was, and kind of still is, an actual disaster. Like, it is a technical mess. It was thrown together in about 18 months by Obsidian using tool sets given to them by BGS, but they threw this thing together as quickly as they could, which is why it's amazing that it's, you know, a cult classic like it is now, even though it was such a technical disaster. And even now, the only way you can really play the game on modern hardware or with any sort of stability is with a ton of mods. If you can do that, you can have a great time. But it's a very broken game, admittedly. Even the devs are like, yeah, it's pretty broken. Yeah, it's pretty broken. And in this review, like he says, this review reads like a Reddit post. What does it say? Well, Fallout New Vegas will ask each and every one of you a very simple question. If a game breaks every 10 minutes, can you still enjoy it? And it's a tough one, because when Fallout New Vegas, a sequel of sorts to 2008's Fallout 3, only this time you play as a courier shot in the head, left for dead, and caught between warring factions in a western post-nuclear wasteland, is humming along, and your charming gangsters clubbing mutants and exploring abandoned rocket factories. It's a blast. Your answer is yes. But then the game will crash, or your companions will disappear, or an entire room of people will draw their guns and run around shouting, "Howdy!" And you have to ask yourself the question all over again. The most frustrating thing about 99% of games, journalism, and writing discourse is that we've already had these arguments 99 times over for nearly 20 years. But because everyone keeps getting burned or booted out of the industry, we get stuck repeating the same debates, the same mistakes. This isn't a new take. People are arguing for stuff that has been demonstratively, okay, I would say demonstrably, proven bad or wrong, which is exactly why major reviews don't do this anymore. We cover it as news instead. I have died, and this is my hell, doomed to forever repeat these arguments. So his point is that a lot of games journalists don't really ding games for technical problems as heavily as they might have done 10 years ago. Because ultimately, you're reviewing the game, not just like the performance of the game. One way to do this maybe would be to have, I don't know if anybody does this, but one way you could do this is if you were a gaming journalist website and then you had a score for the game. So like the game score, and then you have a technical score. So it's like 2 scores out of 10 next to each other that you can evaluate. And maybe they get averaged together to bring you the final score, or they get combined to give you the final score. I'm not sure how you would want to do it. But then you could have the game is a 10, like Fallout New Vegas. The game's a 10. It's amazing. Performance-wise, it's a 4 out of 10. You know, and so then you can evaluate as the consumer, okay, the game's great, but I need to have a super high tolerance for bugs in order to actually play the game and have a decent time. I think something like that would fix it, but anyway, reviews help consumers make purchasing decisions. Mother effer, what website have you been reading for the last 15 years? It certainly isn't this one. The absolute state of this place. I talked last week about feeling like I'd lost a battle, and this is what I mean. 3 of the top 5 video game websites no longer score reviews. We never did. And almost universally judge, by the way, this is Kotaku's senior writer. Just bear that in mind. And almost universally judge a game as a piece of creative work, not as a product. If you want the latter, there are countless places on the internet to go to get that. Anyone neck deep in this argument already knows about it because every community and every website has talked about it. People's insane need to canonize that news in a review is incredible to behold. Take a good long look at your relationship with this medium. Muting because if I see someone tweet the word consumer at me one more time, I'm going to ascend. Okay. Anyway, his point is just that their approach to this, after discussing this in the industry for 10, 15 years, is that a game's technical state is usually more a piece of news because in theory, it should be a temporary thing. It should be something that is current, but in the future will no longer be the case. And I understand that. The solution that some people put forward that I've tossed out as a possibility would be to score it negatively. Hey, the game's great, but it is unplayable. So I'm giving it a 4 out of 10, a 3 out of 10 until it's fixed. Then when it's fixed, you reevaluate it. Then you give it the 10 out of 10 or the 9 out of 10 score. However, the problem with that is that all anybody's going to hear is the 4 out of 10. All anybody's going to remember is the 4 out of 10. Because it's eye-catching. It goes viral. It's something people will bring up and mention ad nauseum. So at that point, it's like, okay, well, do you just wait to review? I don't know. I still like the idea of doing like a technical score and then a game score. Because then you can review it as a product, as a piece of art, you know, where you can evaluate design choices and things like that. But then you can call out performance issues separately. Or you just do what some of these reviewers have done, where they score it as a game. Or honestly, it sounds like they wanted it to, like, as a grand sequel. They probably wanted to give it to it like a 9 out of 10, but it was just so broken that they had to give it an 8 out of 10. So they dinged at a point. But that's why I think I would just love to hear the like math that goes on in their heads as to how they score this. And this is actually the other thing. This is the other thing that is important to know. For what it's worth, there's a pre-release patch coming a few days before launch, and among the patch notes EA shared with press is performance improvements across all platforms. Hopefully it'll help, but I'd be surprised if all those frame rate drops disappeared overnight. We are living in a time of bad PC ports after all. Unacceptable performance aside, the good news is that I still had a great time. Jedi Survivor is a bigger, bolder game than its predecessor that prioritizes tight level design over map scale, a rarity in an age of sprawling sandboxes. And so, in case like you didn't hear me ramble about it before, when you're reviewing a game, like I did not review Jedi Survivor. Okay. I did not have a review code or anything. However, if I did, what would happen is EA would tell me, okay, here's the code, here's the review guide. Usually a review guide says like, hey, don't show footage after this mission for spoilers. Don't do this, this, and this. Here are some tips on combat. If you want some cool skins, look in this area, stuff like that. Usually it's just kind of like a rough guide to how to play the game. And so they give me that, and then usually they also mention, here's a list of known bugs and issues that we are working on for the day one patch. And they have like frame stutters, crashes. They could have things listed where it's like screen tearing on PS5. We're working to fix that in the day one patch. They'll tell you that as the reviewer. But do we know if it's true? No. We're just going off of what they've said. And I'm sure they are working on fixing it. They clearly didn't fix it, but they're probably working on it. It was an active process. So it brings you to this weird point where you can mention it in the review, but especially if you're one of these review sites or reviewers that scores a game, it's like, okay, I think the game is a 10, hypothetically. The game's great, but it's a technical disaster. However, the publisher has told me time and time again that they are working very hard to get this thing polished. They're going to have a day one patch that fixes a ton of this stuff. That's what they're telling me. So do I still score it as 10? Or do I score it at 9? Do I score it at 8? Do I say, hey, I'm giving this a 6 out of 10 because it's unplayable and is a mess, but if they fix these problems, I'll update the score to a 10? What do you do? Because a lot of people would be like, if you give it the 10 and then it's broken, they'd riot. If you gave it a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10, but it's actually a 10 and it launches polished, they'll riot. If it launches broken, they'll riot. Like, there's no good answer other than perhaps what No One Important is saying. I'm not being a dick. That's the username. Okay. What no one is saying is just wait. And I think that that's what a lot of these reviewers have started doing, is this like work in progress review where you have the built-in excuse to take your time and evaluate after the dust has settled. Oh my god, that Reforged Gaming guy is going off. I don't know if I can handle it. I don't know if I have the strength. This is more gameplay that's come out. By the way, when is Elon going to tackle Twitter video quality? That should be like the first thing he does. I'm just surprised with everything everybody's been saying about like the terrible AI. I'm surprised that this didn't come up during the preview events. Am I wrong? I don't remember Maddie talking about this. Did any of those videos we watched, did they mention like bad AI? I don't recall that. Forged Horizons, thank you for re-upping your membership. 3 months in a row, baby. Watching at 4x speed to catch up now. It's surprisingly legible. Anyway, anyhow, watched ACG Redfall review, and the title was a lot more negative than the vid. Interesting. ACG getting that clickbait stuff. It's, I don't know, man. It's just at this point, the discussion was already pretty critical of Redfall because there were a lot of weird things going on. The 30 FPS versus 60 was really weird. Everybody's like, oh, well, just delay it. Well, if it is the case that they are aware that the game is not great and it just didn't come together like they were hoping it would, that might be why they're just like, let's not delay it. Let's not bother because it's going to do poorly regardless. Let's just get it out. That might honestly just be where they're at with it. And this is like slightly conspiratorial, okay, to be fair. But I've always wondered if these publishers and devs know that their game sucks. Like, they have to know, right? But like the review embargo lifts an hour before the global launch. An hour. So surely, if they were confident this is going to review super well, they would send it out really early. Or they'd send it out at least a few days early. But the fact that they waited till the very, very last minute makes me think they probably know. You know, they probably know. The full prologue is on YouTube. Ugh. Oh yeah, this was the tweet. Somebody did screenshot it. Redfall review in progress. One of the worst games so far in 23. Redfall has its fun gameplay moments, but they are eaten away with every bug, odd design choice, boring skill, and combat that feels rewarding in a world that could be interesting if it could ever make you care. The writing was on the wall. They announced the FPS kept at 30. Didn't seem great. I don't know. I don't think that this has anything directly to do with 30 FPS. I think that they just ran into technical issues, and this is yet another example of it. Some people saved clips. How do people know to save clips? Were they like, oh, dude, that's so stupid. Hold on. Look, I'm going to mute it. But look, they have a glitch where when you go ADS, the scope stays
Michael
there.
Porter super chatted
Wow.
$4.99. Could an argument
Thank
be
you,
made
Michael.
that some companies purposefully launch with poor ports for the buzz it brings?
It'd be interesting. I honestly don't know what percentage. Maybe there are stats on this somewhere, but I don't know what percentage of a game's sales are on console. And like the other part of it is that if you're going, like, let's say hypothetically, I'm working at, like, you and me are working at Arcane, Austin, and we are saying, hey, I have this idea. You know how the PC port we're working on, it's been having glitches, it's been having problems, we just can't get it really clicking together. What if we just put it out like that? We focus on polishing the Xbox version, but we just put out the PC version kind of broken. It gets a ton of hype and interest, and people talk about it a lot, and we get that attention. In order for us to actually do that, like, we'd have to convince our bosses it's ready for launch. And then when it launches and all the negative attention comes, the bosses would be looking at us. And even then, like, I'm not convinced that necessarily, like, there's no such thing as bad press. I think there is bad press. Like, you'll get attention, but the idea of no such thing as bad press just refers to, like, your notoriety and popularity. Like, there's no such thing as bad press for getting your name out there. That's true. Bad press gets your name out there just as good, if not better, than good press. However, in terms of, like, motivating people to buy a game that they're iffy on, or buy a product they're iffy on, I don't know if bad press does it. Like, if people are really skeptical of, like, Teslas, of new, like, whatever, the Tesla model, whatever, and then you come out and you show a bunch of videos of Teslas exploding and, like, the batteries going up and burning holes in concrete, I don't think that's going to help sales. You know, more people will know what Tesla is. More people will know about the cars and about the batteries and stuff. They'll find out more. It'll get around there. But I don't think that that's going to, like, help sales. I think in the context of business, it's not necessarily the case. In the context of being a celebrity, a lot more people know who Amber Heard is now than before the trial, you know? Cyberpunk ended up selling a boatload of games. Well, they sold 13 million copies in the first 2 weeks, but I don't think that was because of the negative attention, necessarily. I think that that's because that game was already so crazy hyped. They had 8 million pre-orders. 8 million pre-orders. Bad press can lead to memes, which can lead to sales. Well, that's the thing. Maybe you're right, Casper. Maybe it is. If it can be memed on, then it can be successful. But, like, I thought people were memeing on Forspoken pretty hard. And that game was such a disaster, they shut down the studio within, like, a month or two. Yeah, those sales came from The Witcher 3. I agree, Pato. I think so, too. I think it was more that people were like, no way Cyberpunk launches bad. No way. They made The Witcher 3. No way it launches terribly. How many hours until release? Let's see if they tell us. Just says coming soon. 6 p.m. So 6 hours? Yeah, just a little over 6 hours. I don't know, maybe I need to play that tonight and we'll post a video tomorrow. Oh, man. We just need something good. We need something. Will there be a Jedi review at some point? Yeah, probably not a review, but a critique. Yeah, I'm going through it and we're working on something. So for sure. Yeah, Guitar, what people forget about The Witcher 3 is The Witcher 3 launched super buggy. 3 launch bugs. The Glitcher 3. Like, it was pretty bad. This is from Begear Pal. I'll link it in chat.
You captain of this tub?
Yes. Yes, I am. But people don't remember this. People remember it being magical and mysterious and wonderful because they played it 6 months after launch when they were disappointed by Fallout 4. T-pose. BRB Helen Law. Oh, dude, this makes me just want to go through The Witcher 3 again.
Hey there.
Woohoo! Now this is pod racing.
Did anyone else pick up that transmission? It sounds like a little girl is on our
What are those legs doing? Oh yeah, people walking through. That
I don't kill him, true. But then not everybody applies my rules.
was pretty funny.
It doesn't seem to me like it's enough.
I don't think I've ever seen one that close up.
We'll talk later.
We've waited long to escape. Till we could make sure Kavir will take us. Till we could acquire enough coin to hire a ship.
Wet your arse.
Yeah. But I mean, again, people just forget this. People remember the good, they forget the bad pretty quickly. And I mean, even recently, I've seen videos from people being like, "Give Mass Effect Andromeda another shot." And like, honestly, I'm like, oh, it's pretty rough. Still pretty rough. It had the best broken game memes. Dude, for real. Mass Effect Andromeda was freaking hilarious. And I mean, it really says something that you look the game up and like the top videos are like meme compilations and
At the heart of Mass Effect Andromeda is a...
dude, these memes. March 26th, 2017.
What happened?
Then the face.
You were clinically dead for 22 seconds.
Oh my fucking god, what is wrong with your face?
This is next generation. This is what it looks like. Like some of the textures and characters look better in 3.
It's really going to be something, isn't it? I haven't even shown
My understanding, I read a really interesting article that was posted like years after the fact, like 2020. And it was just, oh yeah, this, remember this?
To whom
and your goddamn father. Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
And they just...
Yeah, then people are like, it's supposed to say faith. My faith is tired. But like, that doesn't even make sense. But like, apparently this whole thing was tied to an animation system that was like swapped close to launch or something. Like, they basically had this system where animation rigs would be automatically routed and then like weighted to the mesh, and then it's supposed to just kind of work. It's supposed to just click like a lot of other game engines handle it dynamically. But in this case, it just broke it. Like the facial rigs for lips would put the animation, yeah, it would move it too far forward, so their lips would just jut out super far. So it didn't scale properly, but it was all dynamically placed, so there was no easy way to fix it without just undoing everything that they had done. I remember it was leaked back when it was still on Unreal Engine 4 and it looked so much better. Yeah, I mean, it really shows you that engines have a lot to do with this stuff. And this was, if I recall correctly, wasn't this one that they forced them to use Frostbite on? It also was just cringy writing. Thwack. But dude, I played a lot of this because I did my first ever critique of this game way back when. So I remember I played a lot of it, and it's a total blur. I couldn't tell you characters' names. I couldn't tell you what happened in the story. It's like my body and my brain blocked it out and wiped it from my memory for its own protection. Oh yeah, this just slowly starts happening. Just slowly starts leaning. Oh, it's so bad. It just keeps getting worse. Oh wow.
One thing that I do have to mention that could totally change on release is that it was very, very, very buggy.
Yep. Everybody's just in T poses. Boob physics are going crazy. Like, what's happening there? Oh man. Oh man. This is why I'm like, broken launches are not a new thing, okay? Like, this has been happening forever, and it's always funny. But this was also one where this was memed into oblivion, and I don't think it increased sales. You know, maybe sometimes it can happen. NPC's just sitting there. But I think most of the time, except in very rare circumstances, most of the time, if your game launch is super buggy and broken, it's just gonna do poorly.
We have to become them.
My experience, this game is just kind of like,
wow.
Guess
Look
what
at the face.
happened, now you have to deal with it, and the character doesn't seem to like even like care.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and this line. Oh my god, this line's amazing. I forgot.
Ah, shit.
Wait for it.
Liam, hold me.
Hold me.
Get a room. The floor.
Oh my god, it's so bad. None of their hands are actually holding it.
The local smuggling union got together and decided to take me down?
Something like that.
Man, it's just, what a disaster. What a disaster. So bad. Oh wow. Oh goodness. Star Wars Survivor PC is bad, but the story is good. Cal is on Demon Time. I mean, I'm really enjoying Star Wars Survivor. I'm just bummed that, again, I'm bummed the whole discussion has to be so much about this like broken state that it's in. Because it's just now people are gonna remember forever. Not that this game's really, really good. Maybe they will. Maybe in once patches and stuff come out, it'll adjust. But right now, it just seems like the entire discussion is gonna be centered around how terrible it is. Technically, even though in terms of the game itself, it's actually pretty good. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom linked, by the way, like a trailer, or what? Or like an art book leaked or something. Tears of the Kingdom leaks are out. I'm not pulling it up, don't worry. Is it just spoilers? Like story spoilers? Okay. I don't see anything. And frankly, Tears of the Kingdom, I'm more interested in for sake of the gameplay, so I'm not that worried about story spoilers if I'm being real. But yeah, it goes without saying, but if anybody posts story spoilers, even if we think they're story spoilers in the chat, permaban, boom. We just don't mess around with it. And like we had one guy who like came in and was trying, he said he was trying to be funny. And it was right after, oh, it was Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy had a bunch of leaks and he came into chat and like started spewing a bunch of stuff that didn't end up being true. Like it ended up being fake. All the stuff that he was throwing out. It was like, it didn't even really make sense. He's like, yeah, and then you run into Dumbledore in the last mission, and then Dumbledore kills whatever his name is, Ranrock, and does all this. And like it was all just made up. None of it happened. It's all made up. But he knew what he was doing. Then he tried to cry foul and was like, but why did you freak out at me for that? That wasn't cool. That wasn't cool. I'm like, well, we don't know if it's true or not. So like, we're going to protect the community and ban you because we don't know if you're telling true stuff or not. Like, you knew what you were doing. Like, nobody's that dumb that you do that. It'd be like the guy that calls in the bomb threat to like an airport. And then when he gets arrested, he's like, but I don't have a bomb. I was just joking. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you realize like it doesn't matter. You knew what you were doing. But I didn't do it. Yeah, it's... God damn it, dude. By the way, I'm so sorry, Nerdy Wolf, that I forgot to circle back to this. Thank you for re-upping your membership to 2 months. That's amazing. Thank you. Luke, when are you going to play Star Citizen again? The game seems a lot more stable and should be even better when they get the data on Wednesday. I pop into it every once in a while. As for like another video, I'm going to give it like a little breather, and then I'll probably do another main channel video on it in like a month or two, I would imagine. I just don't want to do like, you know, every few weeks doing another video on it. I think if I do that, people get burnt out on it really quickly. I want to just let it breathe. Yeah, the Dalai Lama was joking too. The kid didn't have to kiss and lick my tongue. I just was joking about it. That whole video was so weird, dude. Dalai Lama, what a weirdo. Oh, man. He said something like it teases Harry Potter at the end. Other different ways, but he really reached saying RE4 remake was worse when it's really just an opinion. I'm confused what people are talking about. That or he'll just become a Star Citizen streamer. Oh yeah, dude, Star Citizen people go hard. Probably is not a bad idea, honestly. Because what I've noticed is that Star Citizen streamers or Star Citizen audiences tend to have a lot more expendable income because they tend to be a little older, like more 30s and 40s. And they play Star Citizen where you spend big bucks, you know, people tend to spend a lot of money on that game. So maybe it would be a good business choice to to do that, but I don't know. If I'm not feeling it, I'm not gonna screw around with it. You know, we'll wait till it feels right. Oh, by the way, guys, I will be reviewing the Gollum game. I know this is random, but it just popped up. I will be reviewing the Gollum game because I think that's going to be really, really funny. Maybe it'll be amazing. Maybe. Who knows? But I did reach out to them. I was like, I need this. I need this in my life. So, yeah, that'll happen. Because why not? Right? Why not? Why get some money when you can get all the money? That's a good point. They heard you making fun of it and gave you a code. I guess, man. I don't know. If they're just looking for attention, maybe at this point they are just like, hey, let's chase it for the memes. Why not? Has Nikki done her first stream? I was out of social media last week. No, Kazuma, we were traveling and then we've been recovering from the travel and getting stuff ready for the new baby. So we've been kind of running around like chickens with our heads cut off, but she will be streaming soon. It just depends on when she wants to jump on it. She's really nervous about it. It's pretty adorable. That time when Gollum yells it's Morbin time, and then he starts talking about his student loans, and they just go all out. Outer Wilds, yeah, I love Outer Wilds. Love it. Let's see, where else am I? Fear 1 is an FPS known for some of the best enemy AI. Arcane should look to the game for AI in future iterations. I think at this point, yeah, Fear I played a long time ago, or I think I watched my brother play it, but yeah, the AI stuff, this is 2 releases in a row that Arcane has blown with AI. So I hope that they figure it out. Because like I thought throwing a fit about it last time would help, but it's why like reviews matter, and it's why like the public voting with their wallets matters. Deathloop had terrible enemy AI. It just did. And then they had to patch it time and time again as we got further and further out from launch. And even then it didn't really fix it. I went back and I tested it again in later videos, and I never could get the AI working the way it should. They were all super brain dead. And they never balanced the weapons. That automatic shotgun is just super overpowered. And it still is. They never fixed it. And so I think for some reason they just didn't listen to any of the feedback, and they've just doubled down on all of it. I just didn't enjoy anything about Deathloop. Well, and Robbie, the thing that like, I thought it was a fine game. Like I would give it the 8 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10, like pretty good. When it was working, I had a good time with it. The thing that spoiled it for me was that story twist at the end. That was just like, I don't know. It's probably fair game now to talk about for sake of spoilers, but like, without getting too specific, they do something at the very end as a plot twist that isn't like, whoa, it's ew. It's like nasty and gross. It makes you super uncomfortable. It makes you rethink the entire game and go, oh no, it doesn't work. It was so uncomfortable. It was really, really weird. And I heard like nobody talk about it. It was really weird. But that thing, oh man, just bizarre. Let's see. I'm glad I'm not in the US or other major countries because all the new games are still the equivalent of $60 where I am. For us, like, I would argue it's still the equivalent of $60, but it's because the dollar has become worth less because of inflation. So, in terms of buying power, games are still broadly about the same feeling in terms of buying power as they were, like 5-6 years ago. But the dollar amount has increased because the dollar's worth less. So you spend $70 on the game, but that $70 would only buy you $60 worth of stuff 5-6 years ago. Yay, inflation. Yay. Love it. We don't get paid more, so it's way more expensive here. Yeah, well, in coal, that's the big oopsie with all of this, is that inflation spiked, and then all these companies are like, wait, you want to be paid more? It's like, yeah, I want you to keep my pay in line with inflation. They're like, no. No. Robbie, sounds good, man. See you later. Praise the only game by Arcane I found appealing, and I love playing atmosphere over action. Well, and again, it just brings up, like, was this a one-off? Was this, like, did they get lucky with those other games? Like, what was it? Because they had a couple of, like, solid releases. Dishonored 1 and 2 were great. People loved Prey. But then, like, they come along with these other games, Deathloop and now Redfall, and they're just like two big swings and misses for most gamers. But I mean, I think they would argue that Deathloop was really successful because they got really good reviews. But again, I've not met a single person in my life that genuinely enjoys Deathloop. The most I've ever heard from somebody is kind of like my stance, where it's like pretty good. It's like fun. But I haven't met anybody that will argue with a straight face that it's a 10 out of 10. Whereas, you know, you meet all sorts of people that are willing to argue that Red Dead 2 or that Breath of the Wild or these games are 10 out of 10s. But with Deathloop, it's just like, really? 10 out of 10? Series S frame rate gameplay on Axie's channel leaked. Doesn't look terrible, IMO, but I guess I'm not a frame whore. Axie. Interesting. You mean for Deathloop? Or for Redfall? Yeah. Series S 30. And this is not through Twitter, so it actually looks decent. I mean, it definitely is doing the weird upscaling thing. There's some artifacting, especially like shadows and in movement. You see, it's really visible in the movement. Look, I can use my new hotkey. So, I mean, I probably don't need to explain this to you, but like the really weird pixelation stuff that happens with the FSR stuff that they do. This isn't motion blur. This is like weird motion blur artifacting. That's super distracting. Zoom. Like that. That was weird. Look at the netting up top. So like watch this. See how it kind of goes in and out. I mean, I'd say it doesn't look bad. For a Series S version, it's probably in line with what you would expect. Still probably runs better than Jedi Survivor, honestly. If we're being completely real with ourselves. But I don't see a lot of pop-in. I don't see a lot of... There's like some weird artifacting, but I think it's all the AI upscaling stuff that's doing it. I don't see a ton. Maybe in the trees, you can see the trees. Those are about to pop in. Those are super low poly. So I guess those are popping in, but I'm not seeing like super horrible pop in. Maybe some shadows. But I mean, to see that it's struggling to maintain 30 is a little bit of a bummer. Because 30 is like the bare minimum. And to see it like struggling. What are they doing? Is the AI really that bad? Look at this. He's shooting at them, misses a handful of times, and he doesn't even turn to him. Like, look at this. And this guy over here isn't shooting at him. He's just yelling with his megaphone. What? How do they not prioritize even like basic AI stuff? It's amazing to me. It's like they think nobody will notice. I guess if you run into levels and you immediately like start headshotting guys, he just charged him and nobody. Dude, it's like a major pet peeve of mine is like the god awful AI. This shot should have hit him. I thought he was just to the right of his head. Maybe I'm wrong. But like here he's missing. So that's a miss. That should be a miss. That's a miss right over the shoulder. That's a miss. That's, I mean, that's close. Probably should hit the ear cup, but I mean, it could have also sprayed out to the right a little. And then he adjusts. And then hits the shot. The hitboxes seem responsive though. What was that though? Look at this. Look at the shadows. Look at this. I don't think there's a flashlight. That's the sunlight coming through. Why is it flickering like that? What? And you can see it all along the fence line. And again, I don't... I mean, come on. Come on, guys. What are we doing? Yeah, I don't know what that is. Look at the weird shadow artifacting. That's bizarre. Oh man, I can't wait for the digital foundry on this. Man. It's just such a bummer. Why didn't they just make another Dishonored game? That's kind of what I'm saying. Oh my god, look at the AI. But this is the thing. Apparently their AI at this point, their AI systems are so broken and ass that I don't know if they could just make a Dishonored game and have it work. Because the whole thing that made Arcane great back in the day was phenomenal level design for replayability. And part of that is really good AI that reacts realistically. But in this case, it just seems like they're wholly incapable of doing that now. And like, look at this. They see him coming in with a gun. They've heard gunshots. They should have at least. And they let him get all the way up right on top of them before they even begin to respond. Like, what difficulty? Is this playing on like story mode? Maybe? Where it just kills their AI? Maybe, but probably not. This at least seems more stable. There is some pop in. Those trees, look at that pop in. Wow. I get it, it's a tree in the distance, but this is very noticeable. I mean, this transition, there should be one or two models between this 2D plane and the full tree model. This is pretty bad. Look at this. Come on. Man, again, it's just amazing. Microsoft. They own these guys now, and how do they have software that runs this poorly? It's just breathtaking. It's amazing. And they keep being like, okay, well, just wait. Just wait. This is the year that Microsoft's going to start. Oh, look. This is the year that Microsoft's going to start getting it under control. This is the year that they're going to figure it out, and we're going to get those AAA releases that are going to blow us all away. And they just blow it, man. Every single time. Like, what are they doing wrong? Do they just need, like, is it Phil Spencer? Is it managers under him that just can't seemingly get this worked out? Like, what is happening? Because again, it's not just one-off. It's not just this. It's everything except Hi-Fi Rush. You know, like, next year, boys. Yeah. I'm not a Sony guy, but honestly, this is pretty pathetic. It's just, and I like, again, I've I've been called an Xbot recently, and then I've been called a Sony pony by the other people. Like, if anything, I'm a PC Master Race guy. Okay, I love my PC, but the thing you have to admit about Sony is that they are able to get their first party releases across the finish line generally pretty polished. They'll have games that they pay for like publishing rights on, like Forspoken, that are a disaster. But in general, their first party studios that they own are pretty good. Even like really good often. And yet Xbox just can't seem to figure it out. And like you would think it would be time related, but maybe not. I don't know, man. I'm a Nintendron. Steffi, I love me some Nintendo. Or as Nikki says, Tenendo. I love me some Tenendo. But I have not used my Switch for anything other than like Mario Party in I don't even know how long. There's just are no games for it. And with the Steam Deck now and with cloud streaming, there's no real reason to play like a third-party game on the Switch. Back in like 2018, I would play Assassin's Creed Black Flag on the Switch. I would do that. But now it runs way better on the Steam Deck. Just play it on the Steam Deck. Me neither. I still love them. That's why, oh man, I'm hoping beyond hope. Tears of the Kingdom's going to be amazing. I'm so ready. Are you covering anything Armored Core related? Have you seen the gameplay trailer? Please check out Vita Vidya's video on Armored Core's gameplay trailer. Is it... is it the trailer that we already saw 4 days ago? Yeah, it is. I mean, honestly, I'll go through this. I'm not familiar with Armored Core. I was going to try to play it. Play the last one that they did. But you can't get it anywhere without buying like a 360. So I'm going to have to like set up an emulator or something. Like, just look how many different ones there are. I think the one I was going to try was like Nexus 2, 3, Master of Arena Project, Phantasm. I thought it was like a New Year or 4 year or something like that. I don't remember. It was the one that came out in 2013. You don't have a 360 or PS3? I don't have a PS3. I have a 360 in the garage somewhere that I guess I could pull out and set up. I could dig around for it. But also, like, does it matter? Like, will it actually matter that much? Because with a lot of this, Verdict Day, maybe that's it. That sounds right. Verdict Day, I think that's right. Or is this going to be one of those things where I play Verdict Day and then I'm like, yeah, I tried some Armored Core, and then people are like, actually, Verdict Day sucks. You need to play this one. And then I play that one and people are like, actually, that one sucks. You need to play this other one. It's like the no true Scotsman fallacy, but with Armored Core. If that's the case, then like, I'll just play this new one fresh. And like, it's been, I've seen that people actually are pretty receptive if I come out and I'm just honest. I'm like, hey, listen, I haven't played these games. Like with Resident Evil 4 remake, I didn't play this back in the day because I wasn't allowed to. So I have no experience with this. I have no bias towards it or against it. I'm just experiencing this fresh. So let's see what me, a noob with no experience with this franchise, thinks of it. People generally are pretty interested. The fan favorites are AC 4A and AC Nexus. Okay. Basically, in this video, he speculates from the trailer what things they've learned from their Souls Ring might... what they might have turned it into with what they've learned in the Soulsborne franchises. Interesting. I mean, I would imagine that they're going to be having like a lot of big boss fights and stuff. They say it plays differently than any of the other games they've made recently, which I'm sure is true. I will insist, I think there will be a handful of people that buy this thinking that it's going to be like Elden Ring with robots, and I don't think that's what they're doing. This is going to be one that's, the marketing's going to be really interesting to see how they frame it. Because you notice, I don't think in this trailer, I don't think they mention from the creators of Elden Ring. I don't think they've said that. Maybe they did, and I just am spacing it, but I think that they've tried to give a little bit of distance because they want to make sure people understand this is a little different, which is good. I don't have a problem with that. But if people go into this expecting Elden Ring and with robots, they're going to be probably a little bummed. They could be very scummy with the marketing, but it seems like they're not. I think, well, and that's one of the refreshing things. FromSoft is just very confident and competent in what they do. So they're just like, yeah, this is the game. Play it, enjoy it. You're going to like it. The game will speak for itself, right? And as long as they're clear with that, that's great. I agree. It would be kind of scummy if they were like, from the creators of Elden Ring and Bloodborne comes Armored Core 6, subtly implying that this is going to be in line with those. That would be a little more scummy if it isn't like that. But I think they're being clear and trying to be upfront that this is something different. This isn't the same thing. And for a lot of players in the West, I know for some of you guys in here that have played the Armored Core games and are familiar with this franchise, it might be weird to hear this, but a lot of people in the West have never heard of Armored Core and have not played it. Just being real with you, okay? Pretty much everybody in my personal life that I talk games with, that I hang out with, all of them are like, Armored Core 6? What happened to the other 5? Like, a lot of people are not familiar with this. This is cool. Yeah, good point. The ramp to jump up. So it's going to be interesting, but I do think it's going to be crucial for them to set expectations properly. Me, I don't know what this is. Yeah, well, and I also have not gotten a lot of experience with it. They keep insisting it's not like Soulsborne. Yeah, and I think, and I'll commit to you guys here, Tim, like my goal whenever I talk about this game is going to be like, if there's any company that I think has earned a little bit of trust at this point, it's FromSoft. They've just, everything they touch turns to gold. Sometimes they can still screw up. Don't forget Cyberpunk. Don't forget those others. There's been plenty of amazing studios. People are like, there's no way they could ever screw up. Plenty of studios that eventually screw up and betray your trust. But as of right now, knock on wood, FromSoft is instilling a good amount of confidence, right? And my goal whenever I discuss this game moving forward is going to be that this is different from what you're familiar with, but that's okay. And that's good. A lot of people, when they found out Elden Ring was going to be open world, were pretty iffy on the idea, because they're like, wait, one of the things I loved most about their games was that they weren't open world, that they had these really carefully crafted levels and intricate level design and all that. I don't like that they're going open world. And then this new thing ended up being awesome. So just because you're not familiar with Armored Core doesn't mean that it's going to be bad. You know, it's going to be different. And that's okay. Was Mech Warrior more popular than Armored Core? I have no idea. Pre-Demon Souls from Software was definitely more rocky with game releases, but since then they've had nothing but bangers. Yeah, well, and I think that that's probably part of this is like they really exploded with Demon Souls, and then Dark Souls went off and just, they didn't do Dark Souls 2. That was a different studio, but they had, you know, Dark Souls 1, they had Dark Souls 3, they had Demon Souls, they had Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring. Like, they've had banger after banger after banger. And now I think they want to go back to Armored Core and see if they can create Armored Core, but as a full-on banger. And if they can do that, I mean, they're going to pop off. It's going to be crazy. And like I've said time and time again, if any company can make this, can make the mech warrior genre big in the West, it would be FromSoft. The thing about this franchise seems to be that the combat can be very high octane. You probably wouldn't be able to catch the same kind of feel without mechs. Yeah, I think so. It's going to be really interesting to see their obsession over like attention to detail in combat carry over to this high octane, crazy, chaotic style of gameplay. It's going to be interesting. They should port old AC games to new consoles or PC. I don't think they would. FromSoft doesn't seem that interested in bringing those old games. Maybe they'll give it to like Blue Point, but I don't think they're going to spend millions and millions doing that until they see that this is a big success and has a lot of interest from players. And then maybe. But even then, they might be like, we're starting fresh. We want to try to move forward. And they might not do that. Who knows? We all know trusted devs just become dog water overnight. Yeah, well, and it just comes out of nowhere, and you don't know till you know. And in the case of, you know, a lot of these studios, we thought, no way they'd screw this up. They made my favorite game. They made this amazing game. And it's just more complicated than that, because a lot of the time it's about the studio heads, it's about the developers, it's about the teams that move in and out. It can be about the original design doc. It can be about so many moving pieces. Like Rocksteady. How could Rocksteady make something that looks as terrible as Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Well, pretty easily. They can do it pretty easily because the like founders of the studio left, a bunch of the managers left. That guy I brought up on Twitter earlier, Dell, he used to work at Rocksteady, did some work there, designing like Deadshot and those guys. He left. Like a lot of these devs that made your favorite games at these studios, they might not be there anymore. So you might look at them and be like, how did this studio that I love dearly screw up so bad, or just seemingly lose their minds overnight? And sometimes it's just as simple as it's just the building. The people in the building are different now, or enough of them are different that it's not effectively the same team. So the main people at Rockstar left, right? At Rocksteady, a lot of them left. At Rockstar, a good number of people have left. But it's also been 10 years since their last GTA game. So a lot of the GTA designers have moved on to different things. And also with these huge games like GTA 6 or Red Dead or any of these other games, the design phase, it's interesting because there's early on in development, they're doing different things than they're doing midway through dev and then late in development. It all shifts around. So just because early on in development, they might be doing like the design document, coming up with like the broad ideas for how the game is going to work and how the gameplay is structured and all of that. Later on in development, that might be less and less important. Those people who are there early on might not have as much to do, so they'll leave and go work with another company or within the team or within the studio on another team working on a different game. Which is, it's really interesting to, like I said, I've been reading some books on game development and some textbooks from game dev school, basically when you're getting a degree. Just textbooks that you can just buy. You don't have to take the class. You just read the textbook. But I've been going through those, and it's really fascinating to hear how like the production side of things works, because you'll have, say, I don't know, maybe like a team that models assets or character designers and artists. They'll work on designing the characters maybe like a quarter to 2/4 of the way through development, like, a year in maybe. They'll be designing all of the character designs for the mechs or for, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. They'll be designing all of the characters. And they'll finish those designs. And then at that point, once they've done all their work, they don't need to do anything else because they're like, well, if we did our bits and bops, we're good. And we made the meshes, textured everything, so we're good. So the company or the studio will either move them to a different team, or they'll keep a few on staff just for incidental things. Hey, we have an idea for a new character we want to add. Can you design them? And then they'll do that. But usually the broad set of designers will move on to another project, or in some cases, they'll just straight up leave the studio and go to a different company and work on another game. You know, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how all of this juggles out. Did you hear about how the Pinkertons raided someone's house who accidentally recovered leaked playing cards? Magic, I believe. No. That's crazy. I didn't hear that. I think with Armored Core now slated for August 25th, it might be that we get some gameplay info on Elden Ring DLC in the Summer Game Fest and maybe an Armored Core demo then too. You think they're going to do a demo? Honestly, it would probably be a pretty good idea because I think if you're trying to clearly show everybody this is different from our last game, giving them a demo to just be like, oh, this is what it's, okay, I'm in. That might not be a bad idea. I'm just shocked at how quickly they've been able to pull this off. Dude, it would have been so interesting to hear the executives reacting to the negative feedback from this, because I think they probably put this trailer together and they were feeling pretty good about it. And it's got to just be like such a stunning, like, what? People are hating on it? We made Batman Arkham Knight and Batman Arkham City. What do you mean they're hating it? Because it's a well-cut trailer. But man, if they were surprised by this, it shows that they're probably pretty out of touch. Weird single weak point, like helicopters and stuff, man. Looks so much better than Gotham Knights. This is what Gotham Knights wanted to be. But even then, the question is whether or not that concept of a game is even worth developing beyond the conceptual stage. Like, honestly, it probably still ends up being, as long as it's not monetized out the ass, which it very well could be and might be. But as long as it's not monetized out the ass to the point where it's like super toxic, it could just be that this is like an 8 out of 10. But an 8 out of 10 from a studio that we know is capable of 10 out of 10s feels bad. It just feels really, really bad. But like if I found out that this was from a new studio nobody had ever heard of, oh, this is from Purple Gem Studios. It's a brand new team founded by former Rocksteady devs or something. I'd be like, honestly, for a new team, it's not the worst thing ever. Looks like it could be fun. Like, it's not gonna probably win any Game of the Year awards, but it looks like it could be fun for a little bit. But because it's coming from Rocksteady and we know who they are and we know what they're capable of, this just really screams like wasted potential. And also the weird obsession with big glowing purple weak points. Ugh. Did you see Cyberpunk's doing a demo for Phantom Liberty? No. Playtest confirmed. In case you missed it, we'll start talking about Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty this June. At Summer Game Fest Playdays, we'll have hands-on sessions for press and content creators. We're also planning plenty of hands-on opportunities for community. Our community will also get the chance to play the game before release. Interesting. Jesus, 13 days. Chill out, dude. Interesting. Summer Games Fest. I will not be able to go. It's actually, I'm okay with not going. I'm gonna have a newborn right around that time, so the last thing I need is to be traveling right then. But Man. Oh, more screenshots for Armored Core. It's very different. Very different. I'm intrigued. I've just never played these games before, so I don't really know what to expect. Like, I really don't know what they're like. But, man, we'll see. We'll see. What's the point of 1 out of 10 scale? I just don't get it. All we use is 6 through 10, maybe 5 for doing something truly egregious. I agree. I think 1 through 5 is more practical. I think it's everybody converts it though to a score out of 100, whether you love it or not. Like, they just will. And so if you score something 3 stars out of 5, meaning like pretty good or like okay, it's going to get up, like they're gonna just scale it to 60 out of 100. People are like, oh, they hated it. It's like, no, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Like, pretty good. But it's just now everybody does it on the out of 10 scale. So you're kind of, we're just stuck at it. You know, you just can't get out of it. August is pretty soon, though, too, honestly. Well, I mean, it's amazing that from the time Elden Ring launched to when we actually are getting their next game is, what, like a year and a half? That's crazy. And they're very different. So seemingly it was just like 2 different teams within From Software working on it. That's wild. You know? Miyazaki's allergic to making bad games. He just can't do it. Even if he tried. Oh, man. Well, I mean, I guess we'll see with all of this. I'm really hopeful that they pull it off, because, man, we just need it. We need more bangers. We've had a couple of good games. Some have launched worse than others. But we just need like some good ones this year. We need some bangers. Drinner, thank you.
Drinner D super chatted $5. Got Redfall for free when I bought this GPU. I mean, at least I know the GPU was worth the bucks. Lol.
Yeah, for real. Can't be mad. Just they toss the code in with the box. And I mean, it's on Game Pass. Like I said, guys, if you want to play it on Game Pass, thank you. By the way, Drinner, for the 5. That's very generous. Thank you. If you want to pre-install it, it launches in about 5 hours. So you can try it. I'll be trying it tonight. We'll see what it's like and go from there. Don't buy the $100 version. For the love of God, don't do it. But Final Fantasy 16 will probably be banger. Yeah, I think Diablo 4 is going to be fun because we've already tried it and we kind of know what we're getting into. So I think Diablo 4 will be fun. Endgame stuff I don't know about, but for somebody like me who's going to play it and probably like, I don't know, I would imagine I put in like 50 to 100 hours and then I'm good. I'm not one of these guys that's going to play it for like thousands. And for me, I think it's going to be good no matter what. But as for the people that go like super hard, I don't know. Like Asmongold might hate it because he goes so hard with those games, but we're going to have to see. And then as for Final Fantasy 16, it does look super, super cool. I just watched a video of the opening of Redfall and it genuinely looks like the most generic third-person shooter ever. Yeah, dude, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried, but I mean, we're going to play it, and if it's awful, it's going to be funny. It's going to be funny, but man, Xbox needed a banger. And just to see another, not just meh title, but to see a just straight up flop, if these reviews are to be believed, which I think there's reason to believe them, man. Could Game Pass be causing a quantity over quality effect at Microsoft? I don't think so. I think it's that, like, they've done a lot of deals where they've signed developers on to develop stuff for them. And then they've also signed a lot of developers to just bring their current catalog to the service. And for them, like, that's not quantity over quality. They're just bringing a lot of stuff to the game. But as for like their first party games, they're not pumping out very many. And like, it's also just like a total mess. Like, it's a dumpster fire. It's also just a dumpster. They just can't get games polished and across the finish line. It's amazing. They just need a couple. Like, they've had Hi-Fi Rush, which was awesome, but it was niche. It's a rhythm game. Not everybody's going to love rhythm games. Some people straight up don't have rhythm. They ain't got rhythm. No, I ain't got rhythm. Like in Phineas and Ferb. And so it was never going to be super widespread successful, talked about all over the place. But they need, like, at this point, more than ever, they really, really need Starfield to just blow all of the competition out of the water. Yeah, Pentiment was great, but hella niche. Yeah. Well, and Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush, I think, are examples of games that might not have been created without the green lighting of somebody like, you know, Xbox behind it. Because it's so niche, it probably wouldn't be profitable if you were going to market it broadly and factor in the marketing expense like you would for a regular release with the game's launch. At least in my opinion, it doesn't seem like it would be super profitable. Maybe it would break even, maybe make a little. But yeah, as for all of this, it's just they need to hit it out of the park with at least one. They need Starfield to be amazing. And let's be honest, right now there is a like major trend in the industry for people to be very anti bug and very performance focused. And so right now the consumer in general is very sensitive to poor ports and to buggy launches and stuff. Man, like it's just, I think Bethesda is probably sweating bullets now because they need to figure this out. They really need to get it. Oh, look, our resident gaming expert, Dreamcast guy. Big Redfall review up tomorrow, but wow, this game is freaking awful. Boring, empty, and I gotta admit that the 30 FPS does look extremely bad. Sometimes in combat, it literally drops frame rate down to single digits, especially during stake takedowns. Granted, this is all my Series X. We'll show gameplay in my review. Okay. I've tried, like, I don't like being like mean. I don't like being mean, but it's just like actual lol cow status, like real. It's just like gives me an actual migraine. Oh yeah, another leaked review. Redfall is an anomaly because a game with this good of a team behind it can't possibly be this bad, and yet it is. There are these drips of looter shooter RPG and multiplayer elements sprinkled throughout, but none of them work together, delivering a messy and almost incomprehensible experience. Still, gunplay and exploration stay consistently fun thanks to the satisfaction of taking down enemies and the level design. That being said, the single-player campaign is dull, but the multiplayer campaign could provide bouts of fun comprised of laughing at the strange AI behavior and the fact that no one can find keys to a door. 4 out of 10. Let the hate flow through you. Oh, goodness. I'm feeling it. For me, it just all started with the, it all started with that stupid, like, thing with Cyberpunk, where he got his copy delivered through, like, UPS early, accidentally, and then he started playing it and blasting it everywhere. And it was like, dude, like that, it's just not cool. If I got sent my copy of the game early and it was not for a review, I would not be making videos about it. I wouldn't cut together a review of it. I wouldn't pretend to do that because that's not, like, that's really not cool. It's not okay. And then he does it anyways. And then he cries wolf and complains when this happens. Man. Anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if this game ran horribly. Halo Infinite couldn't even get local co-op because it would be too intensive. Somehow the most powerful console on earth right now. Well, and Dark Fuse, modders got it working. Like the community got it working somehow. And so it just was like clear that they, I guess, didn't want to do it or didn't feel the need to do it or something. Like it was really, really weird. At least we know they won't release Zelda broken. I don't think they'll release it broken. I don't expect Zelda to run well, though. I mean, let's be honest. It's running 6-year-old hardware. And, like, already, Breath of the Wild, maybe this is controversial, Breath of the Wild didn't run that great on the Switch back in 2017. But it was okay because it was a freaking amazing game. I think Tears of the Kingdom probably is going to be a freaking amazing game. And I would imagine it also probably doesn't run super great. For some reason, that gets people like super pissed off if I say that. Like people lose their minds, even though it seems like pretty clear. It's the same thing like if you say, I think probably Starfield will launch with bugs and a lack of optimization. People are like, you don't know that? That's BS. That's like, guys, Bethesda has literally never released a game that has not launched super broken. Ever. Name me one. They've all launched with tons of bugs, tons of glitches. It's always been the thing. Like, come on. Chill out. Daggerfall? Dude, I actually looked up Daggerfall because I did this bit like a while ago. I wonder if I can find it. Hold on. Fallout 86? Yeah, 76 was a mess. 86 was great. Daggerfall, hold on. Because I actually looked into it. And I guess it depends on how you define broken. I guess we should be more precise. Or like buggy and problematic. But part of the issue, I mean, this is what Daggerfall looks like. But part of the issue with this stuff is like you can't go back and really test this nowadays. Because, I mean, obviously look at it. It's not like you can just boot this up on your PlayStation. You know, it's a little far gone after that. But I didn't play this back at the time, of course, because I was I wasn't born yet. Okay, yeah, I wasn't born yet. So obviously I couldn't play it. But yeah, we did this bit a while back and we looked it up and we found some contemporary reviews and stuff. And people were generally like pretty positive towards the graphics and the 3D element. They thought that was pretty cool. Some of the stuff they were doing. But I mean, I would also say if we have to go back to 1996 to find an example of a game that wasn't totally broken, like already, I think we're being a little silly, but it's, you know, touche. Broke Thesta gaming, yeah. Playing Breath of the Wild right now, it has problems, not the worst. Sometimes it goes down to 15 for a few seconds. Yeah, AX, and also like the Lost Woods, also super problematic there with dropped frames out the ass and stuff. But it's generally okay. It's not unacceptably bad, but it definitely is not like, it doesn't run well. Yeah, just like look how huge this map was. But it was all like procedurally generated, empty. Fast travel recklessly, cautiously. Like the game was massive, but the game was mostly like just huge open spaces with these dynamically placed trees. But anyway. Most anticipated Starfield, Spider-Man 2, or Tears of the Kingdom? I mean, anticipated. If I was ranking it in terms of like which am I most curious about, probably Starfield, honestly. I'm so curious what that game is going to be like, and I hope they blow it out of the water. I hope it's amazing. I'm a little suspicious, but hopefully. And then after that, probably Tears of the Kingdom and then Spider-Man. Spider-Man, I haven't seen enough to like get me really excited. It's like, yep, Spider-Man. Yep. I just haven't seen anything that makes me go, oh my God, yes, bring it. Because I got kind of burnt out on the first one, and then Miles Morales was good. It was like a good romp in the hay quickly, but it wasn't like amazing for me. And then after that, like, if we're just going for like, what do I think is going to be the best? I would personally, if I was a betting man and like ranking them by what I think their Metacritic is going to be, I would guess it's Tears of the Kingdom, then Spider-Man, then Starfield. I think Starfield probably lands in the mid 80s. That would be my guess. And then Spider-Man probably high 80s, and Tears of the Kingdom I think will be in the 90s. Final Fantasy 16, I think I'm interested in it. I'm excited. I would put it probably in the same area as Spider-Man though. In terms of like, I think it probably gets high 80s for Metacritic. And then as for excitement, I'm more interested, I think, in the immediate term in like Starfield and Tears of the Kingdom. Is the Spider-Man leak true? I don't know what the leak is, but if it's a story leak, we won't talk about it. Spider-Man low 90s for sure. Just, it's in order to get an average of low 90s, you have to be getting a ton of 10 out of 10s. And I'm not totally sure if they're going to manage that. I mean, maybe. But even like Metacritic, even Spider-Man PS4, it got an 87. So, and look, user score actually matches it. That's crazy. So you got to get like a butt ton of 10 out of 10s in order to get into the 90s. And I just don't think Breath of the Wild. Yeah. I mean, Breath of the Wild got 97 because it's like an ocean of 10 out of 10s. Like my finger is going to get sore from scrolling by the time I get down to the 80s. And then we have the contrarians. Let's see is this the worst review they have? Slant Magazine. The audiovisual beauty alone of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is liable to convince you that more is indeed better. It surprises with its gorgeous visual effects, spectacular horizons, and the vast freedom given to players. Sadly, the open world is often empty and soulless, lacking a proper soundtrack, characters, and or stories that make for a truly unique experience. I guess if you're looking for characters and that's what you're hoping for, yeah, you're going to be bummed. But, I mean, come on. We already did the whole thing where we looked at the contrarian reviews on Metacritic. What are the negative ones? Shallower than other 3D Zeldas. In response to Boogie 2988, what? I should have been more clear in my definition of an open world. I consider this game to be a good start in the modern genre of open world games. I also find that reviews are just as bad as mine. Thanks for cutting out a majority of my review. What? Oh, I bet Boogie did a video looking at bad, like, Breath of the Wild reviews, and then this guy got mad that Boogie mentioned him. That's funny. Long loading screens and wait times, sure. Frame dips and freezes, yep. The world is boring. Each region is the same with color swaps. Not really. Locking onto monsters is a pain. What? Weapons are made of paper. They break after a few hits. This is, I think, a necessary evil for what they were trying to do. I don't love the weapon degradation system, but it's meant to keep you constantly searching and moving through the world, finding new ones. And in the sequel, I think they're going to have the same thing, but it's going to be trying to convince you to use the fuse mechanic to craft new weapons constantly. So again, it's a necessary evil. It's annoying, sure, but it serves a purpose that I think is generally worthwhile. There's no way to gauge how much damage a monster is going to do. You can expect large monsters to hurt. No, there is. It's color coded. So like if you run into a white bokoblin, then run away, because they're going to hit really hard. Like, what do you want them to have, like a level number above their heads? What? Cooking's tedious. You put stuff into a pot. Like, what are you talking about? Insanely high monster tracking. Attacks are very difficult to dodge. Get good, bro. Entire experience feels tedious. Go through repetitive dungeons, run around, barren landscape, and repeat until you beat the game. It just feels like they're trying to make the experience longer for the sake of making it longer. I mean, no, you can finish the game in like 20 minutes. If you just run straight to Ganon and take him on, you can technically beat him instantly. You don't need to go do all of that. Combat's mindless hack and slashing. I wouldn't call it mindless. I'd say it's very simplistic, but I wouldn't call it mindless. And then the Sheikah power-ups just feel gimmicky. I think you should look up some of the videos of those crazy people doing wild moves with it. This game, not perfect. I agree. Does that mean it's a 1 out of 10? No. Sound is the worst feature. Did they even make a score? So many people complain about the soundtrack, dude. Like, it's so weird to me. It's like they're all playing from the same playbook. They all have like a list of 3 or 4 things that they saw on a Reddit post or a 4chan post, and then they all go in and write these reviews with the same outline, complaining about the same exact things that they don't even like necessarily justify. It's like, oh, well, the sound, the music is like, look at this, there seems to be a slight patter of piano in the distance behind you, which plays softly among the never-ending clatter of your weapon hitting your shield. The painful sound of Link walking is only comparable to waterboarding. Okay, that's funny. I'll give you that. That's a little funny. They added voice actors, which is cool, except American voice actors sound extremely cheesy and amateur. There's no switching to Japanese. Okay, so you're just weeb. And if you thought the sound effect of having 1 heart remaining in previous Zelda was bad, there's nothing compared to the sound effect when you're near a shrine, which is all the time. I think this person just got overstimulated and then started like freaking out. They need to sit down and have a glass of milk and a cookie. Stefan, thank you. Thank you. I don't know if it's going to read it. It's going to read it. Maybe.
Stefan Constantine Doomy Trash super chatted $5.53. Hi Luke, just a tip. Don't put important info on screen in the last 30s of a YT vid. Gets covered by the recommended thumbs, so hardly readable.
Yeah, I noticed that with the Star Wars video where the little bit that Jacob added with the text on screen was covered up by them. We had, like I said, we had tons of issues with that video getting across the finish line, but we normally those bits, we cut off the bits like where there's no gags or on-screen text or anything for the last 30 seconds for exactly that reason. This video today, we just kind of ran into that. Yeah, and you can literally turn off the shield indicator. Yeah, exactly. But thank you for the dono, Stefan. Thank you. Appreciate you. Glass of milk, cookie, and ADHD meds. Yeah, it's just like, okay. It's one of these weird things, like people think, oh, I don't think it's a 10 out of 10, so therefore it must be a 1 out of 10. It's like, no. A game can not be a 10 out of 10 and still be like a 7 out of 10. If everybody loves the game, but you come along and you're like, I think it's fine. It's just not amazing. That's okay. Like, you know, Deathloop. I don't see it being a 10 out of 10. Give it like a 7 out of 10, maybe. Like, sure. Whatever. Not a big deal. Anyway, we've been going for a while, guys. Like I said, we're gonna wrap it up a little early today because I got some stuff I gotta do. It's also getting really hot in here. That's what I get for wearing a hoodie. But thanks for chilling with me. Thanks for hanging out. I love you guys dearly. This has been a joy. Thank you to all of the people who made donations. That was very generous. You guys don't have to do that, but I do appreciate it. Stefan, Drinner, Bushy, Nerdy Wolf, Michael, Forged Horizons, Bushy, Nathan, Bushy again, Luke, again, wonderful seeing you at the zoo. That's awesome. And Francisco, thank you all for the donos. Very generous. You guys were amazing. Thank you to the new members as well. And people who re-upped their membership. That's always super appreciated. And we're going to be doing a members only stream pretty soon. And the only way you get access to those is if you are a member. So if you're a member, you'll get notified of that and you'll be able to join us for those super special secret streams that only cool people get to attend. But we will see you guys soon. Stay safe. I love you all dearly. I'll be filming some Redfall tonight. Maybe I'll do a members only stream for that. Maybe we'll play it by ear. We'll see. But until next time on Wednesday, I love you dearly. Hugs and kisses. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.